Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
You're Miss Bowman?
I'm Miss Bowman, her mother.
Okay, but you weren't there?
No, I was not there at the time.
Why don't
Thank
you
you.
Miss Bowman, the defendant is your former boyfriend.
Right.
Who's going to take his hands out of his pockets as we speak. Very good. And according to your complaint, after you broke up with him, two things happened. You claimed that he trashed your car, causing substantial damage, and also in a scuffle over a knife, he caused you to cut yourself. And you want him to pay your medical bills. When did you break up with him, and where did this happen?
At his home on June 27th.
How long had you been going out with him?
Since February.
Did you tell him in person that you were breaking up with him?
Yes, ma'am.
At what time of the day or evening did you tell him?
7.
You broke up with him on the 27th?
Right.
At about 7 o'clock in the evening?
Right.
And then I assume you left?
Right.
Was there any discussion at that time?
No, his sister and I both left after I broke up with him.
What did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
We had gotten in an argument, and I was just like, it's over. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Let's just break up.
Did he say anything?
No, a normal breakup.
I mean, don't remember.
Not like...
And then you left?
Right.
Did you subsequently come back to the house?
Yeah, later on that evening.
What time?
Yes. It was probably around 3 o'clock in the morning.
And who did you come back with?
His sister.
And what happened when you came back at 3 o'clock in the morning?
We went to sleep, and nothing happened. We woke...
Who went to sleep?
Sarah and I.
Where?
In Sarah's room.
Okay. So you went to sleep at 3 o'clock. What happened when you got up?
We woke up.
What time?
Maybe around 11. We were going to the hospital to visit his mom in the hospital, Sarah's mom also. Then we went to the hospital, came back around 4:30, and when I got back, I looked at my car and I noticed that it had been really bad kicked. And
Where had you parked your car?
In their driveway.
Now, when you left at 11 o'clock in the morning to go to visit his mother in the hospital with your friend Sarah,
right.
Did you see your car?
No, I had not paid any attention to it whatsoever.
When was the last time you had actually looked at your car?
And no damage had been done to it?
Yeah.
The day before, on the 27th.
What time?
8.
8 at night?
Right. When Sarah and I had left, there was nothing wrong with my car.
Do you have a photograph of your car after the damage? That was from a movie, right? I always loved that movie, right? What movie was that?
Got to think about that one.
Oh, I know what it was. I know. No. I know what it was. I know what it was. Runaway Bride. It was Runaway Bride.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, that's a ladies' movie. Did you see the movie?
No, ma'am.
But you know what I mean when I say look in my eyes.
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So someone did a real number on your car.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you went into the house?
And called my mom, told her what had happened.
And that's why your mom is here, because the car is really your mom's.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And called the police. She told me to call the police. He was telling me, don't call them, it's not that big of a deal. And I called the police.
Well, did you ask him what happened to the car?
I said, what happened? I don't know.
And he said, I don't know.
Here. Right.
And then you said you were going to call the police?
Right.
And what did he say when you said you were going to call the police?
Don't call the police, it's not that big of a deal.
And what did you say to him?
I said, my mom says I have to. So I went ahead and called the police, made a report, and when I had called the police, the officer came to his house, and the officer came, I made a police report. He said, did he do it? The police officer asked me if he did it and thought I was protecting him, but I didn't have any idea. You know, I thought in my mind that he did do it, but there was no, I saw you do it. So that.
Right. So what happened next?
Well, after the police officer had came, he wanted to talk to me. I was really upset. I was crying. I was really upset. And I was like, no. You know, Sarah and I were getting ready. We're going to get dressed, and then we were going to go out that night. And we were arguing. And I don't know how it all started, but he pushed me. Sarah got up. Sarah and him started fighting. And then I got in the fight because I didn't want Sarah or either one of them to get hurt. And we were all just started a big fight. And then he started grabbing knives and was like, I'm going to...
You're lying.
He started grabbing knives saying he was going to kill himself first. He held it to his stomach. Then he said to his wrist and everything else. All the meanwhile, Sarah and his 9-year-old cousin are both there. And after that, he had grabbed a steak knife. And he was like, I'm going to kill myself. We were standing over by the refrigerator. Sarah and his cousin were in the living room by the phone getting ready to call the police. And when he went like this, I put my hand like this. And that's how I got stabbed.
So you were trying to
Prevent right.
him from hurting himself.
Exactly.
Okay. Did your cut require stitches?
Yes.
How many?
2. But it is 2.5 centimeters deep. My palm is numb. Half my thumb is numb. I'm still going to hand specialist to see.
Miss Bowman, I just have a couple of questions for you. You break up with this guy. He has a sister who's clearly a friend of yours. Don't you think it's a good idea that after you break up with him, you don't go back to his house and contemplate going out with his sister and hanging out with his sister so that he's aware of all these things?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
His sister was my best friend. We had been...
So what? So let his sister come to your house.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
It's just not smart.
Right.
You know, it sort of says to him, trash to you.
Right.
You know, I'm going out with my friends. I'm going to go have a good time, and I don't care if you're heartbroken, and I don't care if you're miserable, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just not smart.
Right.
Not thinking. You know, you didn't think.
Right.
Anything?
I tried to keep the relationship between us after the incident kind of steady, so...
You can't keep it steady. It was just 24 hours old.
I'm talking about after.
I'm talking
After
about
that.
at the time of this incident. The breakup was 24 hours old, and you're gallivanting around town, hanging out and doing whatever you want to do with his sister and coming home 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I'm not being judgmental about that.
Right.
I'm just saying to you, don't do it in front of him,
Right.
because it made him mad.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jenna Bowman says ex-boyfriend John Benningfield Jr. kicked her car in a fit of jealous rage. Jenna also claims she was cut with a knife when John tried to kill himself.
Let us start with incident number 2. Let's hear your version of the knife incident.
Okay, well, see, yeah, we was arguing, you know, and
What were you arguing about?
yeah, I really can't remember. But we was arguing and stuff, and I was like, well, I'm just going to leave, you know, I'm just going to get out of here. And she was like, well, why don't you go kill yourself, or why don't you go kill yourself, or something like that, in that
Excuse
area.
me?
In that area. And I was like, well, do you want me to? Because I was just so mad, you know, and so frustrated.
What were you mad about?
Just because we broke up, you know, and I did like her, you know, kind of a lot. We went out for, what, 6 months? And, you know, I mean, that's pretty longest relationship I've ever been in. And,
So you were really mad?
yeah. And I was just like, okay. And I mean, I didn't have it up like this. I had it right here across my, you know, right here. And then my sister tried to stop me, and I was trying to protect the knife so she wouldn't get cut, you know. And then I don't know what happened. Next thing I know, she runs over here and she gets cut. And then as soon as I see she's cut, I threw the knife in the sink and then helped her, you know, tended to her. Like, I got to town, you know, and started. I told Sarah and them to call 911 because I didn't know, you know, how bad it was. And then, yeah, the police came and.
Well, that was the second time the police had come.
Yeah, yeah.
Police came twice. The first time they came
For
about the car.
Car, yes, ma'am. And they took me. They gave me. They was going to take me to jail, but they
Take
gave
you to
me
jail for what?
for assault with a deadly weapon. Because I guess she was going to press charges against me, but they ended up didn't, and then took me to rehab.
Well, she
with her.
really assaulted herself with the deadly weapon that you were
Right.
holding.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. That's why they took me to rehab, to the hospital, instead of taking me to jail.
Well, there's a difference between rehab and a hospital.
It's in the hospital. It's rehab in a hospital.
What kind of rehab?
It's
It's a...
I was trying to think. I don't know. It's just they got a bunch of for drugs and for people that are. I guess.
Well, for drugs,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Who were you hanging out with that evening?
Josh Cato, my friend. See, the 27th, when her car was we supposedly did it. We was in Gap Hollow in where is that?
Elizabeth, Indiana.
Elizabeth, Indiana. And we didn't leave there until like 4 o'clock in the morning. And when we left there, we went back to his house. And when we got up at his house about noon, I come back to the house, and she was like, "What did you do to my car? Why did you do this to my car?" And I'm
Well,
like,
at the time she left the evening before with your sister, you weren't in Gap Hollow. You weren't there. You were home because she said, "I'm leaving and I don't want to talk
right,
about it
when
anymore."
they
You
left,
were home.
Right, when they left, we pulled out of the driveway because he parked his truck in our second driveway, and she was parked with my sister and my cousin, and they was going to the hospital.
Who do you think kicked her car?
I have no idea, because his truck said 2 weeks before we moved into that house, somebody took a baseball bat and keyed his truck.
Why would you tell her not to call the police?
I don't remember saying not to call the police.
Yeah, you did. Why would you say don't call the police? It's no big deal.
I have no idea.
Mr. Benningfield, you have no idea?
Right.
I have an idea. Let me see the estimates on the car and let me see the medical bills.
These are the hospital bills.
Give her the estimate.
And this is the estimate for my car.
Don't you have insurance on this car, Miss Bowman?
If she hit someone, we only have,
Liability.
because I'm a single parent, I can't afford the.
That's a lot of kicking damage on that car, sir. Need really heavy boots to do a kicking job on a car like that. Miss Bowman, what caused you to break up with the defendant?
Because he was controlling and he was mean, and every time I went out with his sister, I get yelled at when I came back.
How old are you?
16.
How old are you?
19.
Did he ever use any drugs in front of you?
Well, okay.
Answer the question. The
Okay.
answer is yes or no.
Yes.
What kind?
Xanaxes. Can I tell you something? He was taking Xanaxes the day that this
What is
happened.
Xanax?
Xanax is a,
Depressant drug.
right, for,
People that get panic attacks.
right.
How long have you been taking medication?
Like, just pretty much the time we was going out.
Is that by a doctor's prescription?
No, ma'am.
What?
Yeah.
You take that on your own?
Yeah.
Where do you get it from?
Just my friends, people I know.
These people that you know, I assume with medical licenses, know how much to prescribe for you?
They wasn't prescribed. She's making me look like the bad person. She took them herself. She's done everything that I did, she's done.
Mr. Benningfield, the problem is that you caused some damage.
I didn't do that.
Oh yeah, you did. Oh yeah, you did. There's no question in my mind that you did. And there's also no question in my mind, but for the fact that you had taken this knife and were using this knife in a way suggesting that you were going to harm yourself, she wouldn't have gotten stabbed. Now, whether that was a result of taking, try to pay attention. You're 19 years old. Trust me, you don't know everything. You think you know everything. Maybe you think he knows everything. You think you know everything? But for the fact that you probably are operating only on partial cylinders because of this medication that you're taking, sir, you reacted to her breaking up with you in a way that was off balance. Now, am I saying to you that she did the right thing by going out with your sister and still having a relationship with you? The answer is no. I think she acted like an immature 16-year-old. And your chronological age is 18, right?
Right.
Translated, probably about 9. And that's what 9-year-olds do when they don't get what they want. They hit, they scratch, they mark up somebody's walls, they do a whole bunch of things.
She had the police involved. She went and she was going to press charges against me. And I had to go up to Sellersburg Police Department to give them a statement. They said they couldn't do nothing. She supposedly gave them all kind of, witnesses that I supposedly admitted it to them. But them same witnesses, when the cop asked them, did he tell you this? They was like, no.
I don't care what they said, sir. I'm telling you, you trashed her car. You want to know how I know you trashed her car? Because I can see it. I can see what happened when she left and how angry you were. How angry you were even the next day, because you said that's why you grabbed the knife, because you were so angry, because you really liked her. And here she was telling you, I'm breaking up with you and I'm going to hang out at bars, friends, whatever, with your sister. And I'm leaving, bye, and she leaves you there all by yourself with your medication and your friend. Grow up. Listen, you both got to grow up. I give you some latitude because you're only 16. You're 19 and no genius, but you're going to pay for the damage. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, which well exceeds damage to the car and your medical bills, $5,000. That's all.
Funds are excused. You may step out.
I think it was a great decision.
It's crap that she can see these things.
2 girls told me he kicked my car and that he had a new girlfriend, but I wasn't worried about the new girlfriend. It was just a coincidence.
We was trying to work everything out when all this was going on, and then I just got tired of waiting, and I started with this other girl that I know.
Finally now, she knows, we all know the truth.
And then she found that out, and then this one, all this, she started suing me just to try getting money, because she's for money.
Don't date psychos.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Merrick versus Black. Step forward, please.
19-year-old salesperson Kathleen Merrick is suing her former friend, 19-year-old college student Catherine Black, for the return of a snowboard.
All right, Miss Merrick, you and Miss Black used to be friends. It is your claim that you loaned her a snowboard. While you were friends, you're no longer friends, you want it back. She said it was a gift, right?
Yes.
That's what this is about. When did the snowboard leave your possession and go into her possession?
About a year ago, around this time.
Tell me how that happened.
We were friends and she wanted to go snowboarding and I had an extra snowboard, so I lent it to her.
Where'd you get an extra snowboard
I had
from?
2 snowboards.
From where?
My mom bought them for me. I had
No, that's not true. Your mother did not buy both for you.
I had 2 snowboards at my house. I
didn't ask you whether you had 2 at your house. I said to you, where did you get them? And you just said your mother bought both of them for you. That's not true. One your mother may have bought for you. Where did the other one come from?
The other one was purchased by my mother too.
Where did the other one come from?
At first she bought one and she went snowboarding and she wound up doing something on the mountain and it broke. So her mom sent it away, and while her mom bought her a new one, while it was away, it shipped away. And by the time they got it back, she already had her other one.
I'm going to read you from your answer. You said it started in October when she broke up with her ex-boyfriend and decided to get back a snowboard that was given to him as a gift while they were together. Did you forget that you wrote that?
No, not at all.
We went and asked his younger sister to go up and get it without him knowing. Once we got it in the car, she decided she had no use for it. Doesn't that sound familiar to you?
Yes, Your Honor.
So according to your answer, she had given the snowboard to an old boyfriend as a present. When they broke up, the 2 of you went and took it back, right?
Yes.
And he wasn't there at the time. He got in the car and she said, I have one already, so you could have this one.
Yes.
I'm so glad at least I had my story straight. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes. We went to go get the snowboard back from the person's house, and I had the snowboard, and I lent it to her to use because we were going to go snowboarding together.
Your Honor, she gave it to me as a gift because...
Get out.
Found in the matter of Marafino versus Wages. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Marafino, you and the defendant were married, divorced, and according to your complaint, tried to reconcile. The reconciliation did not work out, and it is your claim that the defendant has a television set that belongs to you, in addition to other personal property.
Yes.
The defendant says that the television set was a gift to him, and he has a counterclaim. The counterclaim says that you cleaned out his bank accounts, that you owe him for some medical bills, and some important papers that he wants. Is that right?
That's correct.
So let's get some dates. When did you try this reconciliation?
I moved back in on December of 2000.
For how long?
I moved out again on March 20th.
Okay. And when did you purchase this television set?
March 2nd it was purchased.
What kind of television?
It was a Mitsubishi large screen, 50-inch, I believe.
A man's television. You want me to tell you how I know that, Mrs. Marafino? Bert, don't look so disgusted. I'm going to tell you. I have a lovely living room in my house that I spent a great deal of time trying to make just perfect. Right in the corner as you walk in is this monster 55-inch television set that is the ugliest thing I ever saw. It's not mine.
This one's mine, Your Honor.
Okay. So tell me the circumstances surrounding you purchasing it.
We discussed it, and I said that I would buy it, and I bought it. There was no mention of a gift. It was not a gift.
It's not true.
Just a minute, I'll get to you in a minute. At that point, you were living together as a family. Is that right?
Correct. We were not married at the time.
I understand, but you were living together as a family.
Yes.
How are the bills being handled?
My income and his income went into one joint account, and they were paid out of that one account.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Where did the money come from for this television set? From the joint account or from your individual account?
You have to excuse, I only have a copy of my tax income return.
Just answer my question.
Okay.
The money, did you pay
Was
cash?
a tax income refund.
Just a second. Did you pay cash
No.
for this television set?
It was a check.
From where?
Our joint account.
That's what I'm asking you, so let's just get to it. What you're saying is you both pooled your money into a joint account.
Yes.
And from that, you paid all the bills.
Yes.
And when you got your income tax refund, it went into the joint account.
Yes.
And it was from the joint account that the television was paid from.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, you explain to me why, sir, you believe this was a gift to you.
Basically, I had wanted a big screen TV, and we were saving up money to make that purchase or whatever. She said she was going to be getting her income tax check back and put it in the account, and that she was going to buy this TV for me as a present. And eventually, we were going to save up some more money, and the agreement was that eventually we would purchase a hot tub. Basically, that's what she wanted.
Did you get a tax refund that year?
Did I get a tax refund? Yes, it was after we had separated already.
Let's say, sir, that this was not a gift to you. This was something that was purchased for the household. For the household.
Okay.
Then you would have to distribute the property. Now, let's say this came out of joint funds.
Mm-hmm.
But you kept the property, right?
That's correct.
And it's brand new property. It's not something that was purchased 10 years ago.
That's correct.
You got to pay for it, unless you want to give it the television set.
That's correct.
Oh, then we've resolved the whole issue.
Well,
how much was the television
Your Honor,
set?
Your Honor,
$1,960.
I have
Your
a
Honor.
letter here, though, stating that she had accepted her losses and that she's moved on.
Your Honor, that was
And-
before I filed the lawsuit.
Just a minute. I'll take a look at your letter. I'll take a look at your letter.
That was a letter I received a few days after she had come and taken everything.
You mean you want me to read the part where she says, I've cut my losses with my possessions and have moved on?
Right, correct.
Give her the money for the television set, sir. You watching it? You watching it? It's in your house?
Yes.
Then you pay her for it. It came out of a joint account. But as you said, most of it was paid for, or if not all of it was paid
All of
for
it,
out of
Your Honor.
all of it was paid out of her money, and the expectation was you were going to save up more of your joint money and buy her what she wanted.
That's
the
correct.
relationship terminated before that, so she never got her end of the deal, which was her hot tub. Right?
That's correct, but...
Good.
Okay.
$1,960 television set. Personal property. What kind of personal property are you talking about?
My son's sporting goods stuff, I had a police escort, so there wouldn't be any problems. The police officer told us both that whatever he said I could have is what I could get because he owned the home. I asked for a walkthrough of the house. I didn't really see anything, and the TV was nowhere in the house. Anyway, my stuff and my son's stuff...
Where'd you move the TV?
Your Honor,
Where'd you move the TV? It's a big TV to move. Where'd you move it?
to a friend's house.
Why? Why?
Because I didn't want any trouble. I didn't want to be fighting and starting a fight. We had problems with our relationship.
first
She
you
left. She cleared out the whole
I'll get to
checking
your
and savings
counterclaim
account.
in a minute, sir. Do you have her son's sporting equipment?
Yes, I do.
Where is it?
It's in the garage.
Good. You give it to him. What else?
That's
assorted clothes, assorted kitchen stuff,
Forget it.
a treadmill.
You have her treadmill?
Your Honor, that treadmill was at the house, and when she came to get her possessions, she said that it would not fit in her house, and she left it on the back patio.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there.
You want to make arrangements to go and get it? Go and get it.
Well, Your Honor, it's been out in the rain. It was...
You should have filed your lawsuit before. You're not going to get money for it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Maria Marafino says ex-husband Felix Wages owes for a big screen TV and the return of her property.
Now, you say that you cleaned out a bank account. What bank account did you clean out and when?
It was our joint account, basically the day after she had left.
Can I see it?
It's all highlighted, the amounts and the day she had done it.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Did you withdraw money from the checking account?
There was $1,400 in the checking account. I took out $700.
There was two right in a row there, Your Honor. One for $700, one for $726 right underneath it.
Yeah, and you must have took that out because, Your Honor, I did not.
Well, there's one on the 25th and there's one on the 26th,
Right,
sir,
that's-
so I can't tell. You might have taken one out the next day. Is that possible?
Not that I recall, I did not.
Well,
I mean,
not that you recall.
Well, I know for a fact I did not.
Fine.
That's-
She was going to clean out the checking account. She would have done it on the same day.
Also, Your
well,
Honor...
now, Your Honor, on there, on the second page, you can see she went back into the account the next month and withdrew more money out of the account. She proceeded to
You're
use...
talking about $41.75?
Your Honor,
And
I
she
did
had
take
told me-
$40 out, and $175, I think, was a little ATM charge
Why did you take it out the following month?
because I needed food. groceries.
Okay,
I
but
went
you'd
out
already
with...
taken out your half.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So he gets credit for $41. Okay. Now the savings account. You took
There
the
was
whole thing.
$305 in the savings,
Right.
and I took out $300 of it.
That's not half. Did you both put money in the savings account?
No, Your Honor. He has a business account that he was putting money in as well that had over $1,000 in it at the time.
No, that doesn't answer my question. Were you both putting money in the savings account?
Yes.
Then you were only entitled to half, not the entire amount.
Okay.
So he gets credit for $150. Okay.
Can I explain why I'm actually asking for more money?
No, I'm not interested why you're actually asking for more money.
Well, Your Honor...
I'm not interested. Anybody who takes the television out of the house so that it's not there, I'm not interested in what they have to say about that. You took out half. You have half. Now, let's hear about the medical bills, sir. That's another part of your counterclaim.
When we had gotten back together again, I had received an income tax check. I had signed the income tax check over to her to get a breast enhancement, and basically I figured if she could give this TV as a present to me and ask for it back, that was a present to her.
He'd like my implants back?
Forget it. What's next? It's an interesting theory. Let's go. Next. Papers.
She has papers from the house, mortgage papers and everything like that.
Is the house in your name?
Yes, it is.
Those his papers?
Yes, ma'am.
Give them to him.
This was in one of the garbage can bags that he packed of my stuff.
It's not
They're all
very
there.
organized. 191. So $1,769 for the television set if he's going to keep
Your
it.
Honor, it's out of a joint account. I don't understand that.
Is it back in your house?
Yes, it's in my house.
You've moved it back.
Yes.
Pay for it. Even
It's
listen to me. Even if I take what your excuse for this television set was as gospel, the agreement was that since she was getting the money at that point, and I'm speaking and you're not receiving.
Okay, I'm hearing what you're saying, Your Honor.
That the television set was going to be purchased first, and then when you got your money, your tax refund, you would purchase the hot tub with your money that would go into the joint account because that's what she wanted. Well, that contract was never fulfilled. It was never fulfilled because I'm speaking and you're not receiving. You're going to try to talk around me, over me, through me. It's not going to work. Your contract, therefore, with her was not fulfilled. And she gets either the television back or the money for the television back. $1,769 judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
After now, we will never be together again.
I think he's a selfish, evil man.
And now the next case.
All parties on Moeller versus Stevens. Step forward, please.
Commercial pilot Doug Moeller is suing his neighbors, Roger and Jackie Stevens, and their son, 17-year-old Brian. Doug says Brian purposefully damaged his daughter's bicycle. The Stevens are countersuing for the cost of a bike and damage to their screen door.
Mr. Moeller, it is your claim that the defendant's son damaged your daughter's bike.
That's correct.
The defendant says that he caused no damage to the bike, and they are counterclaiming because they say that their daughter's bike was stolen from your backyard and it's your fault. B, that your son tore a hole in their screen door. You weren't there during this bike incident?
No, ma'am, I wasn't.
I'd like you to sit down.
Okay.
And your children up here. Now, you weren't present either, is that right?
Correct.
So you can sit down, leaving the alleged perpetrator standing. When did this happen?
Around midsummer last year.
Tell me about the day.
We went over to see my cousin that we always play with.
You have to speak up because I can't hear you. Tell me your first name.
Timothy Moeller.
All right, Timothy, keep your voice up. You hear the way I'm talking?
Yeah.
Try to do it.
Okay.
Good. Okay, go ahead.
Brian started jumping up and down on the bike.
That's Brian.
Yeah.
What were you doing on the bike?
I was sitting on it. I've never seen a bike like that before, so I was testing out the shocks.
Testing out the shocks.
Right.
And how, Brian, were you testing out the shocks?
I bounced up and down on the seat a couple times and lifted the front tire off the ground about 2 inches and then let it go.
It was a girl's bike, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
It was a boy's bike.
Yeah.
Big or little?
It was big. It was a 20-inch.
Your Honor, could I give you a photograph of the bicycle as
Yes,
evidence?
I'd like to see it.
This is a photograph of the bicycle with a bicycle license, and it shows that these are actually children's bicycles. Quite a bit smaller than an adult would be riding.
Mm-hmm. Small?
I didn't think it was.
Small?
Okay.
Okay. Who told you you could get on the bike?
Nobody.
Can I see the wheel, please? How old are you?
17. I
So
was 16
get a job
at
and
the
pay for the wheel. Wheel's all bent. Wheel's all bent. Would you step up, sir? Okay. We'll make very quick work of this part of the case. Your son got on a bike without permission, tested out the springs, didn't ride it the way it was supposed to be ridden, and they say as a result of that the wheel was broken. So?
Well, according to my witness, my daughter and my son, when he got off, it was still on the kickstand. She got back on it. She rode home on it. We felt that if he had done it, she would have went home. If she'd have done it right then, she'd have went home and told her father, hey, Brian just damaged my bike. But the story that we got is that the next day or so, he noticed the damage, came to the children and said, what happened to your bike? We're not sure. We think maybe when Brian was on it, you know, and so we just don't feel that he did it. It may have happened later. And,
well, what you feel is irrelevant.
Okay.
Relevant facts are he got on a bike without permission. He was testing the shocks.
Okay.
He's a big boy. He jumped up and down. I mean, at least he's telling the truth. Now, when you went to ride the bike home, did you see anything different in riding the bike?
The bicycle wheel was rubbing up against the side of the bike.
And did you feel that before he had gotten on the bike to test it?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Okay, so now I need the bill. I mean, it's not malicious, it's not terrible, but you pay the bill. $106, is that what it cost?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Now, let's get, what?
Your Honor, could I speak for just a second, please?
Sure.
What we've heard here is in a large part a fabrication. In fact, I'd like to call Michelle Stevens as a witness, if I could, please,
Just a
Brian.
second, sir, you just won your case. Why do you have to call
Well,
anything?
I know, but there's a little bit more than $106 involved here.
What?
It cost me $27 to file this in small claims court in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, okay.
And there was more damage to it than just the wheel. The handlebar extensions were damaged, the pedals were damaged, the bicycle seat was torn up.
But I asked for the bill to fix
Yeah,
it.
you got the bill.
You
That's
got
correct.
the bill, $106.40.
That's correct.
That's the bill that you gave me.
That's correct.
So?
Well, I guess that's the end of the story then.
That's the end of the story.
All right.
You just won.
Okay.
Sit.
Very good.
This is not a major toxic waste pollution case.
I understand.
A bent bicycle wheel. All right, let me get to the bottom line of your case, which I've read. Let me see if I understand it. Your daughter was playing over at their house. The plaintiff wants to go someplace. And according to you, he said to the kids, why don't you just put the bikes in the backyard? The daughter put her bike in their backyard. The bike was stolen. And based on that, you believe it's his fault.
His responsibility.
No, that's wrong. How old is your daughter?
13.
So she had the capacity to say, I'm going to go put my bike in my garage?
Which she did. And he said, no, just put it in our backyard. We won't be gone very long. And both of the girls' bicycles got stolen.
You want to go further and tell me about this torn screen?
This is just
When did that
what I
happen?
get from the kids. This was last summer.
Did you tear the screen in Mr. Stevens' house?
No, ma'am.
You have a witness with regard to the torn screen?
Yes.
I'll hear you, Brian.
I was inside the house, and these two kids and my sister were inside, and I was trying to watch TV, and they were being loud, so they went outside. I locked the door, so they were locked out. I heard a noise at my window, and I opened the curtain, and Timothy was there with a stick poking a hole through it.
Did you poke a hole through the screen? Did you replace the screen?
No, but I have an estimate to have it replaced.
You went through a whole summer with a screen with a hole in it from a stick?
Yes, ma'am.
Get a patch. I can understand why you're aggravated, but it's unfortunate that people who had a rather pleasant relationship have any tension because of this. That's your fault. They're all a lot younger than you are. So the first thing that happened was you locked your sister and her two friends out of the house because you wanted to watch television in peace. Is that what happened with the screen? Stupid. Then you got on a bike, jumped up and down on the bike, not your bike, and bent the wheel. Bent the wheel. Also, stupid. As a result of that, two families, which had, I assume, gotten along reasonably well together if you let your daughter go with the plaintiff before, have any kind of friction now. Very, very stupid. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $133.
Lemke versus Mungo. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Lemke, the defendant was a former boyfriend of yours. According to your complaint, he owes you for three things. He owes you for money that you loaned to him at one point when he was facing incarceration. He owes you for the value of a car, which you say you purchased, although it was in his name, it was supposed to be your car, and that he owes you for damages as a result of an assault that took place over a year ago. Is that right?
That's correct.
I assume that the loan that kept him out of jail was the first money that you're suing for. Is that right?
Yes.
And tell me the circumstances surrounding that loan.
John was, faced going to jail for child support arrearages, and the day that he was to appear in court, we took the bus up together, and then I overheard his, discussion with the DA, and that he needed $750 to take him, him out of jail, and we agreed that I would, loan him the money and that he would repay me when he was able to.
Well, how did that come about? What did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
Well, what I said to him was that I had $750. Just don't worry about it. You can repay me, when you're able to. I have $400 cash in my wallet, and we can go down to an ATM.
Tell me about, sir, your version of the $750, which you acknowledge that the plaintiff paid in order to keep you out of jail.
The $750, Lynn had offered to give me $700.
Tell me how it came about.
Oh, I was trying to do that.
No,
before we went to court, several days before she...
Look at me.
Yes, ma'am. She volunteered, said, I could give you some money to stay out. And I said, absolutely not. I don't want to do it because I would feel obligated. So a few days went by, and I was supposed to turn myself in. So we went, and then when we got into out in the hallway, the public defender said, well, do you have the money? I said, no, I don't. Lynn says, I have it. And he said, well, are you going to use it? I said, absolutely not. I don't want to, because I feel like I'm obligated. I cannot pay her back. And then she said, he said, well, do it. I said, no. So he left, and then he came back again and said, why don't you do it? And I said, well, and we thought about it, and I said, he convinced me to do it. I paid it, and then we went home, and that was it.
So it's not your fault, and it's not her fault, it's the public defender's fault.
No, she offered this money to me in front of Mr. Coleman here.
Just a second, but you said
yes.
that you declined to take it.
Yes, I did.
Because you would have felt obligated to repay it.
Yes.
And then you said that the district attorney or the public defender forced you to do it.
He did not force me. He coerced me into it.
He coaxed you to do it, and you did it.
Yes.
And I assume, therefore, that your initial reason for not wanting to take the money in the first place still held true, that you would have felt obligated to repay it. That's what you just told me.
That's correct.
So you took the money, and I assume you still felt obligated to repay it.
I did?
Well, then I'm asking you that. What happened, sir, between the time you walked into the courthouse, when you would have felt obligated to repay the money if the plaintiff gave you the money, and the time you actually took the money?
She told me it was a gift, and I would not have to pay her.
That is...
Absolutely.
No.
Well, Mr. Coleman
she
here heard her say it in his house.
Just a second, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
She never used the words gift. This is a gift that I'm making to you,
yes,
John.
Yes, she did.
No. She never did.
Well, that's not what she's telling you.
That's not what I believe.
Oh.
I would believe it if you told me, because I don't know if I'd believe anything you told me. I certainly wouldn't believe it if he told to me. I'm telling you, she didn't give you the money. She may have said to you, I want you to take it, and you can pay me back when you can.
Yes.
That she might have said. All right, let's move on to number two. Let's move on to car. How much did you purchase this car for?
$625.
$625. So it wasn't a Jaguar?
No.
And it wasn't a brand new car?
Absolutely not.
And you had no driver's license?
That's correct.
So you purchased the car, and you put the car in his name?
Not at the time of purchase, but yes, eventually.
When did you purchase the car?
June 29th.
What were you going to do with a car that you couldn't drive?
Well, I had wanted a car for a long time, as
just to look at it?
Friends had known. Of course not.
Well, what were you going to do with it?
Have other people drive it for me so that I could get around until I have a driver's license.
So you must have discussed with him driving you around.
No, not necessarily Mr. Mungo. My roommate, John Coleman.
Oh.
And no decision had been made whether it even be either one of these persons, people.
Whatever. You put the car ultimately in his name. Tell me when.
It was in July.
So you went down to Motor Vehicles and put the car, after you had it for some time, in the defendant's name.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Mungo, according to you, there came a time when plaintiff came to reside with you in your home. Is that right?
Yes.
When was that?
Let me see here. I have the date. right here. It's on the bill of sale that we use, a copy of the bill of sale that we used for the transfer of the automobile, which was on dated 7/18/2000.
That's when she came to live with you?
Yes, came to stay with me.
How long did she stay with you?
2 months and 5 days.
And according to you, Mr. Mungo, your arrangement was that she could live with you rent-free and give you the car.
Correct.
Miss Lemke, did you pay any rent? Miss Lemke, pay attention.
No, I did not, and I do not remember that document at all.
Should look at me. Could you look at me?
Oh, I beg your pardon.
And was it about the time you went to live with him because you had problems with your old roommate? That's why you
Well,
moved
he
out.
locked me out of the house, and but
Your old roommate locked you out of the house.
Yes.
And you went to live with Mr. Mungo. And at the same time that you went to live with Mr. Mungo, was that the time you went down to motor vehicles and transferred the title to the car to his name? That's what he says.
No, when I went to live with Mr. Mungo, I was only going there for some place to sleep the night I was locked out.
But you stayed for 2 months.
That's correct, and I contracted bronchitis, had severe pneumonia in
All the time
August.
you were in Mr. Mungo's house.
I was, yes I was.
And you did not pay any rent.
While I was taking care of him.
Shh. You did not pay any rent.
No, but I bought food and whatever, yeah.
You did
no,
not pay
I
any.
paid no rent, no.
Oh, okay. And he took care of you when you were sick?
No.
Who took care of you?
I took care of myself.
Okay. Let's get to item number 3. Tell me about this alleged assault. When did it take place?
September 11th.
What happened on September 11th?
I mentioned something about the car, which the subject I would avoid because of his fiery temper whenever the subject came up. There'd been a lot of verbal abuse.
So you started to talk about the car. He didn't want to talk about the car.
He ran from the back of his house in a fiery rage and punched me as a boxer's punch right here.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lynn Lemke says ex-boyfriend John Mungo owes for an unpaid loan and the return of a car. Lynn also claims John charged her in a fiery rage and punched her.
You have a police report.
The police said that a police report could not be issued.
Police issue a police report when there's an assault. Do you have any photographs of your injuries as a result of the assault?
Yes, I do.
Can I see them, please?
That was a couple weeks later. This is about 5 weeks later. 6 maybe.
Okay, let me hear your version of what happened on this date on September 11th.
Well, Miss Lemke is an alcoholic, and she was drinking 24/7 every day for 2 months. Her idea of being sick
For the 2 months that she was living with you?
Yes. Her idea of being sick with bronchitis is drinking a 1.7 liter of Jack Daniels and barfing all over the place. I had my son at my house. He was, I believe, 3 years old, and she was told when he's around and you're drinking, please do not talk to him and leave him alone. We were in the bathroom, and she came in and she grabbed me by the arms. She was shaking me and screaming at me, and I could see the fillings in her teeth. And I broke loose from her, and I went outside. And before I went outside, my little boy was hitting her on the leg like this, saying, stop. He could see that there was this anger, and it was getting him upset. So we went outside, and my little boy kept trying to protect me, and then she went to grab him. And as she grabbed him, he kind of turned upside down, and she spiraled down into the brick fence, and he kind of kicked her in the face. And
oh my God, that's an outright lie.
Basically, I just was horrified. I said, "Oh, you've got to go." I didn't want her to be there anymore. And she kept wondering.
I don't know why she was there in the first place, sir.
She was there because she was so combative with John. He couldn't have her living at his house anymore. He locked her out.
So she had other places to go. She could rent a room someplace. Go
Yes,
to
she
why?
could.
So why was she living with you, sir? You telling me she's an alcoholic. You had
I
your
wanted my
3-year-old
car
son.
back.
I think she was crazy mad in love with me, to
sick.
tell you the truth.
Well,
we were having a torrid love affair.
You were having a torrid love affair
at times
with somebody who you say was a complete alcoholic? When you have a torrid love affair with someone who is blind on Jack Daniels for 2 straight months.
How?
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Not for you, maybe. Not for you, maybe. Okay. What happened as a result of this assault? Were you ever contacted by the police?
The police, well, when after this happened, I picked, my son was supposed to go home to his mother. I spent the night over there. I didn't want to come back home. And apparently the police came out, and the policeman said, I think, ma'am, you must have fallen off the porch and hurt yourself.
Don't tell me what the police said to her.
Well, he was there to hear it.
This is
Hearsay.
unbelievable.
Okay. Hearsay?
Hearsay.
Oh,
This
okay.
is.
Okay. Oh, yes. Go ahead.
You're despicable.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Quite frankly, Miss Lemke, if someone had assaulted me, causing this kind of injury,
Yes.
then there would have been a police report, there would have been a police prosecution for domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
2
I
weeks
cannot
later, I went to court. I went to jail for domestic violence, Your Honor.
And I cannot understand, madam, why you would not follow up on this case that happened over a year ago. Why?
I've been sick for months.
Okay, you're going to get your $750 bail money back. You are not going to get your car back because I do believe Mr. Mungo, and believe me, it was a real stretch because it's hard to believe him about a lot of things. I do believe that he agreed to have you live there rent-free in exchange for this $625 car that you would put in his name anyway. As far as your request for damages with regard to the assault, I am not quite sure how this happened. And it is quite possible that you were, in fact, intoxicated at the time, and you're not sure how it happened either. So this is the judgment of the court. You keep the car, and you give her $750 for the bail money. You got me? Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Lady Smirnoff?
Well, he bought alcohol for me.
I think she's still in love with me, and she just wants to have some type of contact.
In fact, he had stated he liked me better drunk than sober because he wanted anything from me.
And now the next case.
All parties on Astuto versus Curley, step forward, please.
23-year-old secretary Joan Astuto is suing her ex-fiancé, 25-year-old tile setter Sean Curley, for half the cost of a wedding that never happened.
Mrs. Studo, according to your complaint, you had a long relationship with the defendant, spanning a little over 5 years.
Yes.
You have a child together.
Yes.
And at some point, you decided to get married. He proposed and gave you a ring.
Yes. I picked it out. I put down 80 towards it, and he put the rest.
Okay, how much was the ring?
It was a little over $200. I put down 156.
Okay, and then there came the time when you started to plan the wedding. And you put some money down on various things for the wedding, a hall, a DJ, all totaling about $700. And then in September, you decided this was not going to work out. You called off the wedding and moved out, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you put the money down on?
The reception hall at the Spartan Manor,
How much was that?
600,
Yeah.
and 95 towards the DJ.
Who was going to pay for the wedding?
We were both, but I put down the money for the DJ. And
Tell me the discussion that you had.
Well, I discussed on where to have it, and we agreed at the Spartan Manor, and then we went together to the reception site and put down the deposit.
Okay, and how come you put down the deposit?
Because I was the one who had the money.
I didn't have the lump sum of $600 to put down at the time.
At the time?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about the DJ?
I told him how I was booking that DJ, and he agreed.
I don't remember anything like that.
How did you think this wedding was going to get paid for?
Very slowly.
What do you mean very slowly? What does that mean?
Basically,
Don't look down. Look up at me.
Okay, sorry, ma'am. Week for week until it was paid off. The $600 was a down payment, and then they wanted payment after that every week, and I would have to pay that.
Oh, that's perfect. So it was your intention, Mr. Curley, despite your answer, that you intended to pay for this wedding together.
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you think you were at least partially responsible for the down payments that she put down?
She kept the engagement ring.
Did you keep the engagement ring?
Yes.
Oh, well, he has to be given credit for that. Why didn't you give it back to him?
Because he left.
So what?
I also paid $80 for that wedding ring.
Okay, but he paid $156, right?
Or how about I just give him his ring back?
Oh, fine. Where is it?
I can do that. It's at my house.
Oh, it's easier. So I don't have to deal with that later. We'll just take off the $156. The entire cost that you put down was $700. Half of that would be $350. So that's $194.
I also left my house, gave it to her, $48,000, fully furnished. We have a child together, and I left them two in the house.
How much equity is there in the house?
Nothing. We just bought it a year ago.
How much of a down payment did you put down?
A little over $1,000.
So you didn't leave her with a $48,000 house. You left her with a $47,000 debt. You have a daughter together?
Yes, ma'am.
Paying child support?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
I pay, right now it's not court ordered, but I'm paying $88 every week. We do have a court date for that in a couple weeks to determine child support.
And do you visit with your daughter regularly?
No, I haven't seen her since Christmas Day of 2000.
Why is that?
She has not let me see her.
Why is that?
I've told him he can come to the house and pick her up, and he refuses.
I've had threats from her house.
You know, I've done in the last
Just a
5
second.
years for
Just a
him
second.
enough. I am, you know, I'm not his mother. I don't want to be his mother anymore.
I'm not interested in whether you want to be his mother anymore. So you say that you've told him that he can come to the house and pick up your
numerous
daughter.
times.
What does he want you to do?
He says no. He says to meet me at the police station. This weekend I called him to meet him at the police station. I talked to his girlfriend and argued with her on the phone.
Just a second. So he was smart and he indicated to you, just meet me for pickup and delivery at the police station. If he's afraid of some altercation that might take place when he comes to pick up the child in your home, then usually when I was full-time sitting family court judge, I would make pickup and return in some neutral place where there were people around so that would avoid confrontation between two people who don't get along. So picking up and returning the child at the police station is a very good idea.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He has to see his daughter. You have absolutely no right to keep the child from him. None. And I would assume that when you go to court, you make sure that you tell the judge when you go to court, Mr. Curley,
Yes, ma'am.
that what you had suggested because of the problems was a pickup and return in a neutral spot, and she had rejected that.
Yes, ma'am.
There's no question that the court will order visitation because whether it worked out between the two of you or not, your child has a right to spend time with you.
Yes, ma'am.
So judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $194. That's all.
Versus Hart.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Murphy, the defendant is your former son-in-law.
Yes, he is.
When did you make the first loan to your son-in-law?
In the early part of 1997. It was a personal loan. It was for $2,700.
For what?
He expressed that he was having some financial difficulties, housing and supporting my grandson. He repaid me $1,000 of that because he got his income tax return.
Okay. What else?
In 1998, my girlfriend went to an auction. Richard needed a sofa. The sofa was $242. I advanced him a personal loan of $300.
For what?
I don't know. He just asked me to lend him the money. We went to Vegas, and I lent him $100.
For what?
To gamble with.
How come you kept lending him this money? He wasn't paying you back regularly, so why would you lend him money to gamble?
Because he looked so dejected when we were in Vegas, so I just felt sorry for him.
Well, you felt sorry for him. Did you give him the $100, or did he say to you, could I please have $100 and I'll pay you back?
I offered to lend. I asked him, did he want a loan? And I said, you would have to pay it back. And he said, yes.
No, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Go ahead. What's
Okay.
next?
Then this time I had put him on a payment plan of $100. He made payments from August to December in $100 increments that came to $500. In April, he came in my house. He gave me $150 and told me that he had other kids and that he had quit his 2 jobs because he was being sued for child support and that he could no longer pay me.
Richard.
Yes, ma'am.
Got a couple of questions to ask you, sir.
Okay.
It appears from your answer that there was a period of time when you had full custody of your son.
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
From 97 to 99 of September.
1997 to September of 99.
Yes, ma'am. And I can recall the date in January of 97 due to the fact that she called me at work saying that if you feel if I'm a better parent, we'll pick my son up. So
The court papers can be subpoenaed that says that Richard has custody of Ryan from Thursday to Sunday, and my daughter had him the rest of the time.
You have those papers?
According to Marianne, she knows definitely for a fact that I had my son from 97 to 99.
Put your hand down.
I also know that he
Put your hand down. When I need you, I'll call you.
It's like this. When her daughter found a boyfriend, she wasn't going to be my son's mother anymore. She knows that for a fact.
I think that that's probably true. I think that Miss Murphy knew that there was a period of time when your son really needed you to be either a full-time custodian or there a good deal of the time. Isn't that right, Miss Murphy?
He was a very good father, and I give him, my hat goes off to him.
Right. Now, what I assume happened at some point, you met your new wife? Are you married now?
No,
You have a
fiancé.
girl. You have a fiance.
Yes, ma'am.
With whom you have children.
Yes, I have 2 boys, yes.
With your fiance.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're not quite ready to make a commitment to get married. Is
Right
that the
now, we're
idea?
trying to
Just
get-
the children are okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have a fiance and you have 2 little children, and things get kind of busy. Your son is with his mother more often than he's with you. She's taking you now to court for child support. You haven't paid child support in a while.
I'm not working at all, so therefore, certain people have told me that I don't have to pay child support if I don't have it. I'm only collecting disability.
What is the nature of your disability?
Right now,
You can't even say it with a straight face. Try saying it with a straight face how you're disabled. Try telling me how somebody who's how tall? 6 foot tall?
6 foot tall.
Standing in front of me.
Ma'am.
What?
I'm a donor patient for my brother who has a kidney disease, so I have high blood pressure. So right now, I'm basically just relaxing, trying to keep my blood pressure down.
Everybody who has high blood pressure stops working. Half the country would be unemployed.
But this, I can't give a kidney if I have high blood pressure.
How long have you been preparing yourself to be a donor?
I've been preparing myself for the past month and a half.
And how long have you been unemployed?
Since April. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to say after June.
Were you paying any child support before
The
June?
last time I made child support payment was $300, $360 for whatever reason they needed.
When?
June of 2000.
Somebody who's got such high blood pressure shouldn't strain themselves and have all these children.
Oh, it ain't about the children, ma'am. It's about the people around me. If it
Children
wasn't for her
create...
daughter
Listen to me.
and
No,
her,
no, 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 no.
I'll be all
Mr.
right.
Hart, making babies makes your heart go faster, right?
Yeah, it does.
Maybe you should stop straining yourself. Mr. Hart, look, you were making payments to Miss Murphy over a long period of time.
I was helping her out due to the fact she helped me out.
Just a second. You were making payments to her in the amount of $100 a month.
No.
You're in between a rock and a hard place, sir. If you say you weren't making payments to her, you're not going to get credit for any of those payments.
Well, I would say it wasn't a month. I was giving her whatever I had due to the fact she helped me out when I had my son.
You mean she's lying about that?
Oh, it's a lot of things she was lying about.
Yes, I'll hear you.
I have no reason to stand up here and lie. I have a detailed journal of everything, all the accounting on this.
Let me see. Let me take
The
a look at
tape,
it. Just a second.
I extracted this information from the tape. But more importantly, my daughter owes me money, and I have the same tape on her.
Your Honor, she failed to realize until with the $2,700 she gave me for the circumstances of why the $2,700 was given.
Tell me about it.
I didn't ask for the $2,700. I picked my son up from school one day, and he had a lot of bruises on his buttocks and his legs. And I didn't know what to do. So therefore, I took him over to Miss Murphy, and she told me, well, this is what you need to do.
Would you please just explain to me what the $2,700
It was for the attorney fees.
Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. He has conjured up lies and had other people call my daughter's house, leaving threatening messages, and have alluded to me giving him money. When I lent him the money, I had no idea what it was for. I didn't ask. My concern is that you pay it back to me.
Your Honor, why was the attorney fees $2,700? Why did she exactly give me $2,700?
Let me see the bill for $2,700 from the attorney.
I don't have everything, but this is...
I just tell you, I don't
Here
need
you go, right
everything.
here.
The base,
The most
most
of the
of this money that she claims that you owe is, according to you, the attorney's fees.
Yes, ma'am.
This says balance as of 10/13, $1,034.
Let me find this other letter, ma'am, so I can show you that they gave me actually back, after the case was over, they gave me $700 back, but I don't have that form with me at this time.
I want to see where the original bill was for $2,700, the retainer.
No, they asked for a retaining fee of $2,700.
Show me.
Okay, ma'am, okay, relax. I don't have that at this time, Your Honor. I had a letter showing that this is what they gave me back. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry.
At the time that this happened back in 1997, you saw bruises on the child's body. I
Yes, ma'am.
assume that you were infuriated. Is that right?
I made a police report. A DCFS came out of the house, did an investigation on me. They also did investigation on the school.
Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
You needed money for an attorney. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't have the money right then and there to
I
give
didn't
to
have
the
all
lawyer.
of it, no, ma'am.
Good. And there is nothing that you can show me where you paid this lawyer a retainer of $2,700.
Not at this time. You can see
Right,
that
because
list
all
right
this
there.
other stuff he gave me says nothing about $2,700.
Well, if I had it, I would sure give it to you.
Because what it shows is that there are different amounts that you paid off different amounts at different times, not $2,700 at one fell swoop.
Well, actually, it should, I don't. I wish I had.
Actually.
I don't have that.
No.
Of course you don't have it because, sir, let me explain something
Because
to
I
you.
wasn't prepared to bring that information in court, sir. But
Well,
if we...
Mr. Hart, I don't know why you weren't prepared to do that, sir, because that is your answer, that you used this $2,700 for an attorney. So it would seem to me, with all the other paperwork that you brought, you would have brought that one document showing you took the $2,700 from the plaintiff and you paid the attorney with it. That's the one document that I would have.
Yeah, that's one document I wish I had.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,538. And let me tell you what I'm taking off.
Okay.
Taking off the $100 you were foolish enough to give him to gamble.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Excused. You may step out.
Stabbed me in the back like she stabbed her daughter in the
And
back.
it wasn't even about the money, that he didn't owe her any money. It was about me having harassment suit from her daughter and her so that he would not be able to see his son.
Justice prevailed. It just isn't paid a lot.
And now the next case.
All parties on Bose versus Fritz. Step forward, please.
33-year-old business owner Nicholas Bose is suing his ex-girlfriend, 36-year-old bartender Karen Rose Fritz, for an unpaid truck loan and rent. Karen is countersuing for damaged clothes and jewelry.
Mr. Bose, according to your complaint, you and the defendant dated for a while. You made a loan to her of about $400 for a car.
Yes.
The relationship terminated. You claim she not only owes you the money for the car, but owes you for a month's rent.
Right.
She says that the money for the car was not a loan but a gift, and that you had thrown her out of the apartment, and therefore there was no reason for her to pay rent in an apartment where she was not living.
Correct.
She has, however, a counterclaim. She indicates that you vandalized some of her property and retained some of her property. Tell me about the circumstances surrounding this loan for her car.
My friend here had a van for sale and she wanted it, so I told her I would lend her the money, and when she got her taxes back, she was supposed to pay me back.
Was that the arrangement?
Yes.
So, Ms. Fritz, you tell me your version of the conversation surrounding this $400 for the van.
I was waiting for my paycheck to come, and I told him I would pay for it, but he said as long as he had the money, he would pay for it for me.
You think that he said that as long as he had the money, he perceived that you were going to have a long-term future together?
Yeah.
So don't you think it's right that you return this $400 to him since you were going to pay for it anyway?
I don't feel I should have to.
Okay. Now tell me about the rent on the apartment.
She was supposed to be paying $300 a month. I have a copy of the lease here, and in regards to the van, Karen filed a restraining order on me. There's the lease. Sir?
He wants to show you.
If you look under tab 4, her testimony in court, she says, I do not deny owing him the $400.
You did say that.
Correct. I don't deny owing him the money, but when I went over to...
Well, you denied it today. What is this month's rent you're suing her for?
Karen, in November, almost died from drinking. April 1st, I went to the bar. She was drinking, and she got mad at me because I gave Don another $60 that we owed him on the van. She started yelling at me, screaming at me. She just lost control. And then she went and spent the night at her ex-boyfriend's house. I did not kick her out. She chose to go live with this other guy.
Had you moved into this apartment together, sir?
No.
You're going to continue to pay the rent and live there because you want to stay there?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me hear about your counterclaim.
I went to pick up some clothing, and he said that he threw outside. And on there was a note that said, it was my old marriage license. It was a bad word that we don't want to say. And then I looked at the clothing when I got back to the house, and it was either bleached or it was cut up, and then there was jewelry that was ran over.
Did you?
Ma'am?
Yes.
No, ma'am, I did not. If you look on tab 6, in her testimony, she says Lakewood police came with her, and they saw that the clothes were torn up but did not make a report. They didn't make a report because it didn't happen. Her clothes were fine.
You have the clothes with you?
Yes, I do.
Let me see them.
They were fine when I set them out there.
No, I'm sorry.
That's why Lakewood police did not make a report over it.
What's this jewelry box that you have here?
He had pulled into the parking lot where I work and proceeded to get out, and then he backed up and left. That was the remainder of what was left in the parking lot after he had left.
That's untrue, Your Honor. She had Lakewood police come question me that day, and she told them I was on videotape in the parking lot, and I was not on it when they went and reviewed the tape.
You know about that?
It's a revolving tape. It doesn't actually...
Whatever. Was he on the tape?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Take these old clothes.
This is what was on the clothing when he left.
I did not write that on there, Your Honor.
Whatever. Even if you did, that clothing that's in that box is not worth very much. Certainly not worth $1,000 that you're suing for.
Yeah.
Trust me. Do you claim that he also has jewelry that belongs to you?
Yes, I do.
What jewelry?
It was a teardrop earring that he will not give me back because of this suit that we have going on.
The only thing I have of hers is a VCR and some dishes that I kept until she paid me the money.
What about this piece of jewelry? Where did you leave that?
That was left in a jewelry box, along with 2 rings that I just bought him.
Well, how did you get your clothes? Basic clothes.
That's it.
You never got any other clothes that were there? I mean, that's all the clothes
No, that's all I have. He's got the rest of his house.
Is this the only thing that you put on the porch, this little box?
No.
It's not?
No.
You must have had lots of clothes. You have coats, you have jackets.
Right.
Right?
I put everything.
Well, where's the rest of that stuff?
All I got, this is a basket. That is all I got.
I put all of her clothes on the porch. I put her son's clothes on the porch.
No, you didn't.
A few things.
Just a minute. Miss Fritz, I cannot believe that you did not get back son's clothes, son's things, underwear. I don't believe that. I don't believe it for a minute.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure. Who are you?
Don Thomas. I'm the one who sold him the minivan.
Yes.
There's also a $240 balance on the minivan that I've never received.
Sure.
I was hoping the rings were worth more than $240. That way I could get my money.
Why?
Maybe she could
Where are
give
the
me
rings?
her rings.
Where are the rings?
I don't know. Maybe she could give them to me so I can get the rest of my money for my minivan.
This is not one-stop shopping. If you feel as if she still owes you money for a van, you have to go to court, as he did, and file a complaint. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Your rent, you'll take care of. But you are owed $460. As far as your counterclaim is concerned, I do not believe that those items were the only items you retrieved from the plaintiff's home.
I have a copy of the police report that was written from that day that was here.
Sure, I'll take a look at it.
And I had 2 witnesses to verify that that's all that I had.
So where are they?
The kids.
Where are they?
They
Where are your
couldn't come
witnesses?
today. So I brought the one that saw the jewelry being run over in the parking lot.
Well, you reported this to the police a week and a half after you allegedly picked up your clothes. Your current boyfriend said somebody threw a paintball at his car and he saw a red convertible. And you told the police that some time ago you found that some of the articles had been cut up. So you did not report this to the police at the time you allegedly found it. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. If somebody cut up all my clothes, did not return my clothes, I would have been on the phone that day. We understand each other?
Yes.
Good. Now, step up. You want to tell me about what you saw about jewelry?
I saw red convertible pull into the parking lot. It stopped, backed up, pulled forward again, pulled out of the lot, and went west.
Mm-hmm.
About 10 minutes later, a patron came into the bar, said, I found this jewelry. I went out to the parking lot and spent approximately 2 hours picking up jewelry that was scattered across the parking lot.
Did you ever drop jewelry off at the parking lot?
No, ma'am.
What kind of car do you
That's
drive?
a red convertible.
Uh-huh.
But everybody's seen it up there. If I was doing that, ma'am, I would be on the videotape.
Maybe there's a good reason that you both have restraining orders. This jewelry here isn't worth $1,000.
Well,
I let my
it's
grandchildren
sentimental
play.
value,
I
Your
let my grandchildren play with this stuff. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $460. Ms. Fritz, I do not believe that you have any other items in his house other than your VCR and your dishes, neither of which you're suing for. Do you want them?
Yes, I do.
Good. Within 5 days, we'll make an arrangement to go and pick up with a police officer VCR and your dishes. The dishes are to be in one piece, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
VCR, too. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. The matter of Zust versus Herndon. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Mr. Zust, you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes, Your Honor.
Next-door neighbors.
Correct.
Your complaint is that the Herndons have dogs. How many dogs do they have?
2 dogs.
What kind of dogs are they?
I am not sure.
How big?
About 60 pounds, maybe.
Each.
Each.
Your complaint is that for the last 2.5 years, the dogs have impeded your ability to enjoy your home. You can't sleep at night because they're constantly barking.
Sure.
And This has been the subject of constant stress between the two of you, that the Herndons have received citations for the dog's barking, but it hasn't helped. And finally, as a last resort, you filed this small claims case for harassment. Correct?
Sure.
And I understand from reading your papers that you have a video
Yes, I do.
to show me.
Yes, I do.
I'd
It's
like
right
to
here. And over here is my family room. And here's my kitchen, which are all right next to my neighbor's barking dogs, of which are fenced in that small area right there. And you can see where I had to board up a window with soundboard. And over here is where my neighbor keeps his barking dogs all day and all night. And as you can see, it's very small, dirty, and muddy, and caged in. And there's 2 dogs back there. But my neighbor has this huge backyard over here. But he doesn't want them back there. I don't know why, but perhaps it might keep him up. These are some times that they've been barking, day and night. 4 a.m., you see right here.
I see, sir. Tenacious little sucker.
Yes, they are.
So?
Your Honor, in our defense, our dogs don't bark where they are a nuisance. They are dogs, they will bark. They too have big dogs that weigh probably 80 pounds each that bark.
At night?
At different hours of the
At
day.
night?
At night, sometimes yes. When they let them out to eat, to do whatever they have to do.
Are your dogs out all the time?
They're outside dogs, yes.
Okay.
And we have designated their area to keep them out of the rest of our yard because that's where our kids play. We have 2 little girls, and the other side of our house is all cement, and it's not even half the size of where they are kept now.
Let me tell you, because I believe in being honest, you're starting from a very poor position with me today. Because for the last 2 nights, when I got into bed early, about 9 o'clock, because I get up very early to come into court, and there was a barking dog outside. It's a residential area. Couldn't tell where the dog was coming from, where the noise was coming from, because it's pretty dense, and I couldn't see that far down, see where the dog was coming from. But it, for sure, not only annoyed me, but annoyed hundreds of other people, because it was quiet, except for, that muted sound of cars traveling, perhaps, and piercing the silent night air was the sound of this dog, single dog, barking. And it would stop for a couple of minutes, and I would try to fall asleep fast before it started again. And then you can't fall asleep because you're trying to fall asleep quickly. Do you understand? You finally, because you think if you fall asleep, then you won't hear it bark. We understanding each other?
Oh, very well.
Right? So then you can't fall asleep at all because you're waiting and anticipating the sound of that dog starting to bark again. And I try to prepare for my cases. I had read these cases before I come to work, and I said, I must tell the Herndons when they come that they do not get a judge with a blank slate. You get a judge with a history. Unfortunately for you, my history was the last 2 nights I didn't sleep because of a barking dog. And I said to myself, these people who have that dog are really outrageous. They're outrageous because what they could do is, at night, take their dogs inside because it may not bother them. They have probably become numb to the sound of the dogs barking, but the rest of the community has not become numb to the sound of the dogs barking. So I said to myself, why don't these people take their dogs that are getting excited because somebody may walk by, they may hear a sound someplace, and bring them into the house where they won't bark? And I ask you the same question. Why don't you bring your dogs inside at night?
Because they're outside dogs, Your Honor.
Tough!
That's
tough.
I have a petition from all our neighbors around us that have signed it that say our dogs are not a nuisance to
Let
them.
me tell you something. Your dogs are right near his window. You've chosen to put your dogs at a place that's convenient for you, so that it's not where your children play in the backyard, so they're not going to step all over mess. It's not on the other side where it's too narrow. It's right near his window. So your other neighbors might not be as offended as he is or his family is by this noise, but he is. You don't have a right to do that. That's unreasonable.
My dogs don't bark the way he has made it out to be.
They don't have to bark all the time, madam. You could be fast asleep, and at midnight, if your dogs are outside and you see a cat running by, they start to bark. That wakes you up. What are you pointing at, sir?
Our dog run, which she had flooded out on several different occasions, and we have feel that it's on purpose.
So what?
It's flooded with 2 inches of water.
So what?
That's not right.
Let me ask you this question, sir. How long have they been asking you to take your dogs in at night?
They never asked us to take our dogs in at night. We don't talk to them.
You mean even before this started? Even before this nasty stuff started?
Your Honor, that video he just showed, my dogs were rambunctious because somebody was aiming at them over the fence with a video camera.
No, sir. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm smarter than you are. Your dogs were rambunctious because they wanted to get from their caged-in area into the main backyard. Your dog was digging under the fence, and if your dog...
No.
I'm speaking. Don't shake your head and don't speak. If your dog was agitated because somebody was videotaping them, they would have been up barking at the fence where the video camera was pointing. They wouldn't have been digging under the fence to get into the backyard.
Looks like they were trying to get away from him to me.
You hear that, sir? They said, oh, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We didn't want her coming into our house and telling us what to do with our dogs.
Big Mouth over here threw her out. After that, it got nasty.
And later today,
They wouldn't agree. She wasn't going to pay for most of it. I was going to help her out a little bit.
That was very stupid of you just to say so.
Why?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. College student Ken Zust says next-door neighbors Jerry and Maria Herndon won't do anything about their barking dogs.
When was the first time that either you or any member of your family spoke to the Herndons about the noise?
On January of '98, my mother went over. She
Is she
talked
here
to them.
today?
Yeah, she's right here.
Could you step up, please?
And
Just a minute, she'll tell me.
I
What
went
is your
over-
last name?
My last name is Zust.
Yes.
And I went over and knocked on their door, and they let me in the house. And I explained to them the situation, that it's our living area. They have no windows in their area. And could they please do something about the dogs? Mr. Herndon overheard it from the back of his house. He came out and he said, he kind of threw me out of the house using some swear
You
words.
can tell me
So
what he said. You can tell me what he said, Miss Zust.
This is, get the hell out of my house. So.
Was that the first conversation that you had with them?
Over the dog incident, yes.
How long had they had the dogs?
I'm
that
guessing
point?
about 2.5 years.
Did this conversation that you had in 1998, was that when they first got the dogs?
Yes, about then.
Okay.
And they were puppies, and they were really barking. And it's right under our living area, and plus my son's room. So I tried the nice way first.
How long had you been neighbors?
Well, they used to live in another part of the cul-de-sac and then moved in next door to us.
When? Do you remember what year?
I don't know exactly.
But it was well before this?
About 6 months prior.
Okay.
to
And
this.
you had no negative interaction with them before?
Not really, no.
Not before the dogs?
No.
Okay, so there was no reason for him to throw you out of the house?
No. I came over with it, hopefully that we could resolve it as neighbors.
Okay, and you were speaking to his wife?
Yes. And
You remember that?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
She came over and asked, and she didn't say that that's where their living quarters were. She said her husband was not comfortable with our arrangements to keep our dogs where we did.
Yes.
And we told her that that was the only proper place for us to keep our dogs.
Is that
We
what your
had-
husband said to her?
We said...
Just a second, not we.
Yes.
What did your husband say to her?
He came out and told her to get out, that we didn't want her coming into our house and telling us what to do with our dogs.
He's got a real hot temper.
No, her son has a hot temper.
No, his son. She came in. His son wasn't with her.
Her son has threatened our
Listen to
lives.
me. Listen to me. When she came over for the first time to discuss this problem with you, was the first time that the problem was broached between two neighbors. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Correct.
And it was at that time that Big Mouth over here threw her out. After that, it got nasty. After that, it got nasty. But she came over to your house. She didn't send you a lawyer's letter. She didn't send her son over. She's certainly a much older woman than you are. Perhaps that's why she came over rather than sending over one of her sons, because she thought maybe if she went over there, it would be more peaceful. Right?
Well, I don't understand where she wanted us to keep our dogs.
In the house at
They
night.
are not house dogs.
The house is not
They're
a kennel,
not
Your
house
Honor.
dogs. The house is not a kennel.
Maybe
listen, theirs
Mr.
is.
Zust, Mr. Zust, let me explain something to you, right? Dumb as the day is long, right? You are not going to change it. The only thing that I can do is to make a statement for you. I see that you have been harassed and that you have tried to handle this problem reasonably with them. Now, you say that they have been cited at least once and gotten a ticket.
Yes.
Has anything happened as a result of that ticket?
Well, after that, I filed several barking dog
complaints.
Right, and nothing has happened because we were scared to pursue this because of his threats made against my family.
Which were when?
What difference does it make?
Well,
There was no threats.
There
We
was
got
no
a police
threats.
record
there
right
were
here
several
showing that
threats.
he threatened
There
my
was
life.
never any threats against his family.
Vice versa.
We do everything
He's a
to
big guy.
avoid
He's
them.
twice my
If you
size.
did everything to avoid
We
them,
do.
you'd bring your dogs inside at night.
Our house is not a kennel.
This is not about
We don't
dogs.
Yeah, my
keep our
house is
dogs
not a
in the
kennel
house.
either. I have a dog. I bring
Your
it
Honor,
inside at night.
This is not about dogs. This is a personal vendetta it turned into.
He has,
Oh, dear,
he has
Mr.
threatened
Mr.
our
Herndon,
lives. We have a police record that shows that they came out one day that he pulled up into our driveway with his two younger brothers,
Not true.
one of which is there. He
And?
came up and he started verbally abusing my husband in front of my 5-year-old daughter.
Let me tell you something, Miss Herndon.
If that's acceptable,
I want to tell you something. That is not acceptable conduct. What is totally unacceptable is your reaction to me when I said bring your dogs in the house if you have dogs.
My house is
and
not
if
a
your,
kennel.
Your house is not a kennel?
That's right.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount requested,
Fine with me.
$3,500. That's all.
He's angry. He's got a miserable life. He's 23 years old and he still lives at home with his mom.
These dogs have wrecked my life for 2 years. I mean, I work full-time, I go to school full-time, and I can't sleep and I can't study, and it's great that she took my side.
And now the next case.
All parties on Fleming versus Sneed. Step forward, please.
21-year-old student Latasha Fleming is suing ex-fiancé, 25-year-old plant assembler Shelton Sneed for his share of a wedding that never happened.
Miss Fleming, you and the defendant were engaged. According to what I've read, the date was changed at least once because the defendant said he wasn't quite ready or whatever. But ultimately, he canceled the wedding, broke the engagement.
Right.
And you want to be reimbursed for all the, at least half of the expenses that you made towards the wedding, right?
Yes.
When did you become engaged?
November of '98.
And when did he cancel the wedding?
May 2000.
And when were you supposed to be married?
September, well, the first time April 22nd, the second time September the 2nd.
September of 2000.
Right.
No chance of that coming about?
No.
Okay. Who was making the wedding?
Me, I was.
And that was your agreement?
Right.
That you were going to pay for the wedding?
Right, most of it.
Okay. Well,
No, man, it wasn't agreeing. She wasn't gonna pay for most of it. I was gonna help her out a little bit.
that was very stupid of you just to say so.
Why?
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How much did you pay for the ring?
I forgot. It's a whole lot of money.
Whole lot.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Latasha Fleming says ex-fiancé Shelton Sneed owes her for half of what she spent on a wedding. Shelton says He told Natasha he'd give her a couple of dollars.
Let me explain this to you, Mr. Sneed, and try to make it as simple as possible, sir. In order for her to be successful in this lawsuit, she has to establish that there was an agreement between the two of you that the wedding would be paid for jointly, that each of you would contribute towards the wedding. If that was not the case, then you would have no liability. She just said that your agreement was that she was supposed to pay for the wedding. And then you sort of volunteered, no, that's not true.
Oh.
Oh. Oh.
I mean...
So why don't you tell me? All right, let's go to you, Mr. Sneed. I thought this was going to be a very easy case. Maybe it'll be more difficult. What was your agreement, that you were going to share the expenses for the wedding?
No, I was going to give her a couple of dollars.
How much is a couple of dollars?
Like $200 or $300. That was it.
And you had that agreement with her that you were going to give her $200 or $300?
No, I ain't tell her I was going to give her $200 or $300. I told her I was going to give her a little bit of money.
Did he just make that up?
No, he told me he would help me when he could.
Well, that's not a contract. Miss Fleming, that is not an agreement. Did he give you an engagement ring?
Yes.
Do you still have it?
Yes.
You do? Ooh. Is it a nice ring?
Yes.
You wearing it?
No.
Is it a diamond ring?
Yes.
Why don't you sell it? He's not asking for it back.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Perfect. How much did you pay for the ring?
Oh, I forgot. It's a whole lot of money.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
Give me a round figure, sir.
I don't remember. I don't put a price on stuff like that, so I just did it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Miss Fleming, going to make this as simple as possible for you, madam. $3,000 is what you're suing for. I assume that you've made expenditures in the amount of $6,000.
Correct.
You did?
Yes.
You think the ring is worth $3,000?
Yes.
So sell the ring. You're not asking for it back, Mr. Sneed, are you?
Yeah, I want it back, no.
Now was your chance. You didn't file a counterclaim for the ring, sir.
Oh, okay.
Sell the ring. Pay off the wedding bills. Miss Fleming. You're very lucky.
Now, this is case number 527 on the calendar in the matter of Crowell versus Roman. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Crowell, I assume that this is your granddaughter.
Yes.
And you had a car. You let your granddaughter borrow your car.
Yes.
Your granddaughter allowed the defendant to drive the car.
Right.
The defendant was in an accident.
Yes.
Damaged your car. You want him to pay for it. Right?
Right.
You, step up here. What's your first name?
Mira.
All right, Mira, when did you borrow your grandmother's car?
On January 11th.
How long had you been driving?
Since I've been 15 years old.
Did you have a license when you were 15?
I had a learner's permit. I've been driving with my parents.
All right, now on the 11th of January, where did you meet Mr. Roman?
At a friend's house. We met at a friend's house in the early afternoon. And then in the late afternoon, like around 4 or 5, he asked to borrow my car to run his own personal errands.
Speak not until I get to you. Go ahead.
To run his own personal errands. And then he returned my car around 7 o'clock after
When he said
dark.
he wanted to borrow the car to run his own personal errands, he didn't say personal errands.
No, he said he was
said
going by his house or to his work or something. It was in the same general area. So I told him he could use the car because I'd driven with him before, and he drove perfectly fine. And I wasn't breaking any of the rules that my grandmother and I had agreed on when she let me use the car. And I had signed a contract for that. And
you mean you signed a contract with your grandmother?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Good for you. Let me see the contract. Who prepared this agreement?
I did.
You crossed out number 1.
Because I started growing my hair out.
You had cut your hair very short?
Mm-hmm.
Like a crew cut?
No, well, I cut it really short and...
Long in the front.
Yeah, it was long in the front.
Bird, I just want... Grandma's a tough cookie. I will not acquire any tattoos on my body. I will not allow any parts of my body to be pierced. Not use any drugs, not smoke anything, not consume any alcohol prior to age of 21, and never while driving the car, maintain the car in clean condition, will attend school, take driver's ed, will work or travel or attend school every summer, will drive defensively, cautiously, and will not allow anyone under the age of 21 to drive this car. You signed it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's great.
Can I get a copy of this?
You sure can.
Thank you.
Bird wants a copy. You don't mind, do you? Okay. In any event, how old are you?
21.
So?
Can I, first bite?
I'm not with you yet. So when he came back after borrowing the car, what happened?
He came inside, and...
How much later?
A few hours. And he came inside and told me he had something to tell me, and I was like, you know, what? And he told me he wrecked my car, he'd been in an accident, and I thought he was joking because I didn't believe it. And he brought me outside to show it to me, and then he proceeded to apologize to me for wrecking my car and told me that he would take care of it for me. He told me then that he hadn't filled out an accident or police report, and so I asked him if we could do that, and he said, no, we can't, because it was a hit and run, and it wasn't my fault. And at that point, I said, okay, well, I don't know what to do about it then, so we'll wait till tomorrow.
When did you let your grandmother know about the accident?
I was out of town. My mother died, and I was in Alabama taking care. She had just died and taking care of that, and I was going through that trauma. So Chris, my son-in-law, tried to take care of things for me. So.
Okay. When did you tell your father?
I told my father the next day, and he told me to contact my insurance company and see what they had to say, which I did, and they said that they wouldn't do anything because the insurance that I had wasn't collision insurance. Or
what kind of car was this?
A 1993 Honda Civic EX.
You had personal injury insurance, but no collision, I assume.
Because I'm on a limited income, and with a teenager driving, I couldn't afford collision. It was about twice as much with the liability.
Okay. Can I see photographs of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
They're in the packet, Your Honor. They're on the back of Section 3 is the 3 estimates we got to repair the car, and the pictures are at the back of Section 3.
Thank you. Okay, you're up.
You ready? All right. Basically, how it started is I was at a party that I had met her. I think maybe this contract that she just gave you must be pretty recent for the fact that probably the first five.
Listen to me.
The first 5.
All I want to know is how you got the car and how you got into this accident.
Okay, I'm gonna let you know. Basically, I was at this party. We had mutual friends. I had met her that night. It was late. Wasn't any time in the daytime. It was nighttime. Early morning, maybe 3, 4 in the morning. I was on my way out. I had plenty of friends there that could have given me a ride. I had no reason to ask her for the car. She asked me if I could pick up one of her friends, that her friend Wilma or somebody needed to be picked up, that she was having problems with her mom. She needed to get out of the house. So I said, look, at the same time, I need to bring my record back home. I've been up, tired. I need to bring it home. So I proceeded to bring my book bag home. On the way back...
I don't understand. I just didn't understand that, sir. Did I not understand it on purpose? First, you tell me she asked you to pick up her friend Wilma, and then you started to fumpy over, you had a book bag and a record, you wanted to bring it home. Let's get to, she asked you to pick up her friend Wilma? You also wanted to take a record home?
No, my record bag home, because I had it with me and I was...
So you wanted to take your record bag home? Stop playing with the pen. You wanted to take your record bag home?
Yeah.
So, now that I understand that, continue. So you said...
Well, after that, I told her that, I explained to her that, look, I didn't have insurance, I didn't have a car at the time, but I had a valid driver's license.
You had this whole discussion?
Yeah.
Listen to me. I want you to tell me everything that happened. Not everything that you believe should have happened, that you would have liked to have been said. Do you understand? Because I have had children who are teenagers, who are 19 and 20 and 21 years old, And if somebody asks you to take a friend home and you want to take your book bag home, you do not have a conversation about whether you have a valid driver's license or is there insurance on the car. Listen to me. Listen to me. Now, you listen to me, because I'm smarter than you. You could live to be 200, you won't be as smart as I am. Do you understand that?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 18-year-old Mira Crowell says she loaned her grandmother's car to Michael Roman. Mira says Michael wrecked it and refuses to pay.
Just tell me the truth. Simple, clean, and easy. You were going to go pick up her friend and also go to your house to bring home a book bag.
Exactly.
Right.
But this wasn't on my choice. I didn't want to. From the beginning, once again, I did not want to bring her or even do her the favor of bringing
Then you don't do it.
Exactly.
Then you...
Exactly.
Then you don't do it.
Okay, exactly. But
Good.
she continued.
But you got... I don't care whether you're going to tell me that she continued to beg you, plead you, whatever. Put the pen down. Stop scratching your ear. You don't get behind the wheel of a car if you didn't want to do it. You did want to do it, so you got behind the wheel of her car. Is that right? Did she, in fact, point a gun in your head and say, go get my friend? Yes or no?
No.
Did she take out a knife, threaten you in any way?
No.
Did she threaten to call the police if you didn't do her this favor?
No.
Did she threaten to tell your family that you had done something grotesque to her?
No, ma'am.
No. So you got her keys, and you got in the car.
She gave me the keys.
Yes,
and
she gave you the keys.
Proceeded to go home to bring my record back home.
So the first thing you did was go home, right?
Right.
So you took care of your chore first, right?
Exactly.
Good. When did you get into the accident?
The reason, let me take one step back. The reason that...
No, you listen to me. You took your book bag home.
Mm-hmm.
Did you take your book bag home before or after the accident?
Before the accident.
So you got home with your book bag and there was no accident.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you left your house, where was your next stop?
To her friend's house.
And how far away was that from your house?
Maybe 3 miles.
And how far did you get before you had the accident?
Maybe 2 miles.
Now tell me about the accident.
I was coming down Highway 50, and that's a main highway, state road. There was a Cadillac in the fast lane. I was in the medium lane, the middle lane, proceeding down the road. I noticed that they kind of were driving hazardous. Whoever the person was driving just tapping their brake lights. They were kind of swerving. They proceeded to get in front of me, so I switched over lanes because I noticed, you know.
You switched over to the fast lane?
Yeah, I switched over to the fast lane to not be in back of them. They slammed on their brakes and turned this way, back into my lane. The bumper of the back bumper of her car touched the front bumper of the Civic, spun me off into there was a construction site going on at the time. There was temporary construction signs. Spun me off into a median. One of the temporary signs hit the windshield, spun me back off into the middle of the road, and I stopped the car, pulled it over. And as soon as I got out of the car, the other car kept going. So I proceeded to pull the car over into a parking lot because there was a mall right there. So I pulled it over, looked at the car, see if it was drivable. I realized that I wasn't too far from home. I was really nervous. I had previously explained to him that, you know, I didn't personally have insurance.
I don't believe that.
Okay, but...
So let's get over that. I don't believe that you personally explained to her that you had no insurance. That's not consistent with human...
That's a big part of my case. I mean...
It may be a big part of your case. I don't believe it.
But that...
I don't believe it.
Okay, so anyway, so basically after that had happened, I was nervous. I was kind of shook about the whole situation with the car. So I knew I was only maybe a mile and a half from the house where the party was going on still. Brought her back the car, explained to her the situation that had happened, brought her outside, showed her the car, and explained to her that I felt that we should call the cops and that I would personally tell them that I was driving and that at least they would have a police report of some sort. And from then on, we continued on. Nothing had happened. She never called the cops. 3 days later, we continued partying. We hung out. I continued to drive the car. She let me borrow the car the next day.
Did you let him borrow the car the next day?
Yes. And can I explain why?
Sure.
Because he had a pager, and he said that that was the only number he would give us, was his pager number. And he said that if he didn't get it paid for, that day I was going to get shut off. And I didn't want to I didn't want to lose contact with him. And the car was not, I wasn't going to drive it wrecked, like all the way.
Baloney. That's a fib. All you have to do is have his name. You call the police. You say he was in an accident with my car. It was a hit and run. Somebody hit the car. Police come. They take his name. They take his address. I guarantee you he doesn't need a cell phone in order for you to stay in contact with him. So that's a lot of baloney. You know it and I know it. What do you want to say? You want to say something in defense of that?
In defense of Muir, if I could.
In defense of that baloney that she let him drive the car again after he wrecked it?
No.
Of course not. You don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
Right. There is no defense for that, right?
I agree.
Good.
Basically, one thing I was just trying to say is that, I mean, basically from the beginning of the whole situation when we first talked, I told her that I did not want to use the car, and I personally would not take responsibility.
Roman, listen to me, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I don't see why you don't.
We take responsibility for our actions. When somebody coerces you, threatens you with physical harm, sometimes people have to do things that they would ordinarily not do. If what you want me to believe is you were coerced into using this car because this young woman begged you, pleaded with you, wouldn't take no for an answer, and if you want me to accept that as an excuse, I will not.
No, that's not what I'm saying. If you let me finish, you'll hear what I'm saying. I personally just did not, regardless if it's my friend, if it was her, if it's any friend, if I do not have insurance, which I do not, and at the time I was going through problems with my car and my insurance and payments on that, I let her know. You see what I'm saying? That I did not have, no, just let me finish. I did
You
not have
said it
insurance.
before, and I'm telling you, you're a liar. At 4 o'clock in the morning, when you said this happened, you don't have a conversation with her and say to her, I'm going to take your car, and I'm going to first drop off my book bag at my house. Then I'll go pick up your friend. But by the way, I'm having trouble with my car and my own insurance, so therefore I don't have insurance. I hope you have insurance. Does that sound right to you as the parent of teenagers? It's inconsistent with Bird's and my experience as a parent.
You're still not understanding what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm understanding you.
Not.
Oh, believe me. I'm understanding. You know what I'm understanding?
No.
Shh. You know what I'm understanding? You had an accident, and you got to pay for the car. You were driving, your fault.
But
you were driving, your fault. Because if a Cadillac is in front of me swerving, what you do is you very slowly put on the brake. You slow down to about 20 miles an hour, and you let the Cadillac get really far in front of you because it's 4 o'clock in the morning. They probably had a whole bunch to drink, and you want to stay as far away from them as possible. That's what you do when you're an adult and when you are driving defensively. However, when you're a 21-year-old idiot, right, then you get right on the behind of the Cadillac, you move around, they change lanes, you change lanes, and all of a sudden you get into an accident. Not on purpose. You didn't mean to destroy her car, but you destroyed her car. She doesn't have collision insurance. She has liability insurance, which means that if you had killed somebody, that insurance would have had to have been responsible. But because you just wrecked the car, who was supposed to be responsible? Mrs. Cromwell, who was taking care of funeral arrangements? Her granddaughter, who was at the house, was nowhere near this accident? Or you, who had just taken care of your own chore, dropping off your own bag in your own house at 4 o'clock in the morning? Who do you think should be responsible? Or Bird, who was home in his house sleeping at 4 o'clock in the morning? You think about that, not you.
First, I'm telling you, I did not take responsibility for the car from the beginning. I told her that before I left. I didn't need you can laugh about it.
Let me ask you a question, sir.
It might be funny, but I mean it's not.
No,
really.
it's not. You're not
It's
funny. I want to tell you something. You're not funny. How many times has your license been suspended?
Once.
How did I know that?
How'd you know that?
Yeah, how did I know that?
Probably because they looked up my license and brought you papers and did that, Shamil?
Really?
I mean, did
Just a second. Just a second. Is that what you think? You think that they looked up your record and they brought me papers?
Well, I'm sure, possibly. I mean,
No, I'm telling you, sir, that's not how I know that your driver's license had been suspended at age 21.
Then you tell
At
me.
least once.
You let me know.
How did I know?
I don't.
Because I'm smart.
That's
it. You want to know something? Even Bird knew your license had been suspended at least once. You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because he's smart. The only one who just don't get it is you. When you destroy somebody's property, you have to pay for it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,012.
In the matter of Mendoza versus Orozco. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Well, you're the two fathers. Both daughters here?
Yes.
Yes. Why don't the two fathers sit down for a minute and have the two girls up here? Your first name is?
Cinnamon.
And yours?
Irene.
You were using your father's car?
Yeah, he's the primary owner, but we're both on the car.
He's the owner?
Yeah.
What kind of car were you driving?
2001 Kia Rio.
Is she a friend of yours?
Yeah.
How long have you known her?
We've known each other for about 3 years.
And you knew how old she was at the time of this accident?
Yeah.
And you knew she didn't have a driver's license?
Yeah.
Tell me on what day this accident occurred.
On July 4th.
And you tell me in your own words how she came into possession of the car, of your father's car.
We were riding around in Chino, where her father lives, and just looking around different stores. And then I had to go to work, and I had like a whole bunch of my clothes in the back. And we had like both of us come up with the idea of, well, since I'm at work and I don't get out till like way early in the morning, she said, well, maybe I could take the clothes to my father's house. And I said, okay, that sounds fine. I trust you. And so I gave her the keys to the car, and then she took the car, and I was at work, and then after that I got a phone call at work that my car had been in an accident.
Did you ask her if you could have the car?
No. It was a mutual decision that if she drove to work, and I would drive the car back to my father's house.
Did you have any discussion about you not having a license?
Yes.
Tell me about that discussion.
She was like, you don't have a license, and I was like, I know. I don't know. It's just I don't have a license. And then she was like, well, I was like, oh, I'm a safe driver, and she was like, okay.
Now, how did you have this accident?
I was after she had dropped. I took the car I got on the freeway, and I was driving back to Chino. We were in City of Industry. I was in the farthest left lane, but not the carpool lane. I guess the fastest lane. And
fastest lane.
I was going
without a license.
I was going 65.
Yeah.
And
she's going 20.
Okay, I was going 65.
Anything. Go ahead.
There was a blue van on the side of me and a white Camry tailgating me, and there was a car coming up on the carpool lane. Half of the car was in front of the Kia, and then it started moving into my lane. The white Camry was...
It's getting too complicated. How did you have the accident?
I'm telling you.
Well, it's getting too complicated. Did you hit somebody or did they hit you?
No, nobody hit nobody. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, just tell me, the car flipped over, the car hit a guardrail?
No, I slammed on the brakes to avoid hitting somebody, and it hit the back end, hit the guardrail, and I swerved to the exit lane, by the Diamond Bar exit.
Okay. All wouldn't have happened if you weren't behind the wheel of the car.
I know.
And maybe wouldn't have happened if you weren't driving in the passing lane.
I know.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's the damage on the car?
The total damage came to about $7,000.
Mm-hmm. Now I'll have the fathers up here. With the girls. Stay with the girls. Mr. Roscoe, you are divorced from your daughter's mother, is that right?
Yes.
Who does she live with?
Her mother.
Is that by a court order?
Yes.
So her mother has custody of the child?
Yes.
And you pay child support?
Yes, I do. Where I used to, not no more.
No more because she turned 18?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Mendoza, according to your complaint, you contacted the mother
Yes.
of this young lady, and you said it is your view that this accident was the fault of both girls?
Yes.
So that you should split the cost?
Exactly.
And her mother said, okay, I'll pay $1,500, and her father should pay $1,500.
Well, originally, Judge, what I had intended to do was file a claim for $5,000. Total damage was about $7,000. What I did then...
File a claim against who?
Against both of them for
Both of whom?
$5,000. Both her father and mother.
I thought you were going to file a claim for $5,000 against your daughter.
No.
Why not?
Well,
it's her fault.
Well, I felt it was both their fault.
Oh, did you?
Okay. So because of that, I figured it was only fair for me to file a claim, not for $5,000, but make my daughter be responsible for more than half of the damage, because she was equally at fault for giving her the keys. So I figured it was $3,000 settlement was more than justified. So that's what I did. I went for the $3,000. Irene's mother said she agreed with that and paid me $1,500. She said I would get the other $1,500. I would have to get the other $1,500 from Mr. Orozco. I then sent a letter to him stating this.
Why didn't you send a letter to your insurance company?
Because the insurance company will not cover it.
Why not?
They said that because of the driver involved in the accident was under 25 and did not have a license.
Right.
We did contact the insurance company.
Of course you did. and they disclaimed because you gave the car to your daughter to drive, your daughter did the wrong thing, and your insurance company wouldn't cover the damage.
Exactly.
Why do you think that he should?
Well, because his daughter was driving, I felt they were both irresponsible, so why not?
He doesn't have custody of his daughter.
He had custody at that time. They were staying at his home.
Judge Judy. 18-year-old Cinnamon Mendoza says she loaned her car to friend 18-year-old Irene Orozco. Cinnamon claims Irene drove it on the freeway and wrecked it.
Her mother cannot obligate him just because she says get the other half
I didn't
from
ask her
him.
to obligate him. I asked him for it. I didn't say anything to her about obligating him.
It was aware to us that her mother said on the divorce decree that they had joint custody, but Irene chose to live with her mother, and they have 2 other sons that live with him, but they do have joint custody.
What does Irene do now? Does Irene go to school?
I have a full-time job. I was going to school, but I couldn't pay for it to go to JC.
But now you have a full-time job.
Yes, and I need to pay this off. If I had to pay my my aunt back.
For what?
Because she let my mother borrow the $1,500.
Oh, she did. So first you paid your aunt back.
I need to pay my aunt back. That's why I got a full-time job.
Oh, that's fine. And now you're 18?
Yes.
What kind of work are you doing?
I work at a fast food right now.
Are you living at home?
Yes, I do.
So you have no expenses until you pay this off?
I'm paying my bills that I have, the phone bill, and whatever my expenses, my personal needs, my clothing, my shoes, everything.
Right. You see no reason for your father to pay this, do you?
No, I don't.
Good, I don't either.
I
don't
think
either.
that's unfair, but that's up to you.
Oh, I don't think that that's unfair, Mr. Mendoza.
Yes, it is.
I will draw an analogy for you, sir. Let us assume that Irene, instead of being 17 years old at the time of this accident, was 10 years old. Still a minor, right? Still a minor, still had no driver's license. And your daughter said, you want to take the car for a little spin? She's 10. You think her father should be responsible?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Well, that's your opinion. My opinion is he should.
No. In the eyes of the law, she's the adult. She's 18. You have given her, you have deemed your daughter responsible enough to drive, to be totally responsible for the safety of a weapon. Car can be used in the hands of somebody who is not responsible as a weapon. You gave her that responsibility. He didn't give his daughter the responsibility of driving the car. I don't know how old you have to be to get a license. 16, 17, 18? What do you have to be?
17 and a half.
17 and a half. So for some reason, she did not have a driver's license. Now, I don't know whether that's because her parents decided she wasn't mature enough. Her parents decided that it wasn't the right thing when she was 17. But she didn't have a driver's license. So her parents said, no driver's license for you. You said to your daughter, not only can you have a driver's license, you can also have a car. They didn't make that choice. You did. And if your daughter wasn't responsible enough not to safeguard that car and not give the keys to somebody who was not equipped to drive it, I don't see why they're responsible at all. The fact that you got $1,500 from the mother is a gift. He's not responsible. If she wants to do the right thing, she'll pay you back the money. So could a 3-year-old.
But she's still driving her mother's car.
So could it, at the time of this
without
incident,
a license.
that has nothing to do with it. Then if she's in an accident, if she's driving her mother's car without a license, if the car is in an accident, they could lose their house, they could get their wages garnished, they could lose all their bank accounts. I'm talking about you and your daughter. You felt as if your daughter was responsible enough so that you could give her a brand new 2001 car and said to her, this is yours, be careful with it, be responsible with it. She acted irresponsibly. He did not give his daughter permission to drive that car. In effect, you did, because your daughter was acting as your agent. So I think that if you want to do the right thing from your now full-time job, you will see to it that your friend gets her money so that she is not responsible for these damages anymore. The fact that the insurance company disclaimed, there's a good reason for that. The insurance company disclaimed because they said you had no right to give an underage, uninsured person the keys to the car. I say the same thing. This case is over.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She came home and said she had an accident, and first she told me it was her.
He should have taken responsibility, never handed the keys to my daughter.
It caused a lot of tension, but we're still friends. I mean, it's money.
We're not.
Money's an object, friendships, you know, forever.
I was just happy that she's alive.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Smith versus Smith. Step forward.
60-year-old singer Myrna Smith is suing her daughter-in-law, 33-year-old computer specialist Candy Smith, for an unpaid loan to hire an attorney.
Mrs. Smith, the defendant is your daughter-in-law.
Yes, she is.
According to your complaint, there came a time when your daughter-in-law needed some money. She needed some money for an attorney because she was going to be involved in a custody dispute with her former husband. You have 2 children from your prior marriage, and you loaned her the money,
yes.
$5,000. And it is your claim that she has not repaid you.
She has not repaid.
And your daughter-in-law believes that she has the right to offset that money, and she's going to explain that to me. When did you make this loan?
I made the loan May 1st, 2000.
Do you have the canceled check?
Yes.
Can I see it, please?
And this is also my statement.
Okay, what was your agreement with regard to repaying this loan?
She told me what she would do would, on her pay days, she would deposit money into my account. However, that did not happen, so finally I went through my son and I asked when she would start making the repayments, and she decided that she would make the payments, but she wanted to put them into my savings account instead of my checking account, and I felt she had no right to know what was in my savings account. And she was very inquisitive about my money and how it was spent.
Okay, and as of today's date, you have received no money from this $5,000. And you acknowledge that, but for your defense, you did not repay this money out of paychecks or anything else.
No.
Okay, now I'll hear your defense.
Actually, what happened was that at this time, when we had moved into the house, she had given
What
me...
house?
We had purchased a house together. She had actually sold her previous residence, and she had used the down payment to purchase a house so that we all can live together, and we were sort of helping each other out.
And help yourselves as well.
Right, and help
All right,
ourselves.
so what was the arrangement? She put the down payment on this new house.
Correct.
How much was the down payment on the new house?
$100,000.
She put down the $100,000 on a house that you were all living in together.
Correct, and it was under my husband's name.
Was there a mortgage on this house?
Yes, there was.
How much was the mortgage?
$185,000.
And I gather from your papers that you and your husband make the mortgage payments.
Correct.
How much were the mortgage payments?
$1,703.
$1,703. And how many people from your family, you and your husband, you have a child together?
Yes, we have 1 child together and 2 children from my previous marriage.
So there are 5 of you all together.
Correct.
And how many people, other than your mother-in-law, were living in the house?
The grandmother and also the uncle.
Grandmother or uncle paying any money towards the house?
He needs to answer. I can't answer.
Step up. Mr. Smith, how much money was your uncle paying to the house?
My uncle was scheduled to pay $400 a month, but unfortunately that rarely happened.
What about your grandmother?
No, nothing.
Okay. How many months did you live in the house?
If include January, 8 months.
How many mortgage payments did you make? Because that's your defense to this action. How many mortgage payments did you personally make?
Roughly 8 months.
You have proof of those payments?
Show her proof that you were being mortgaged.
What is that?
This
is the household account that my son and I had to make payments for anything regarding the house. This is how our bills were paid.
Can I see? And I'll see your checks for the mortgage payments.
Unfortunately, that I do not have. I didn't know that was going to come into question.
You have a bill, though, right?
I have a bill.
No, I don't need a bill. I need the mortgage payments. Your defense, Mrs. Smith, is that it wasn't working out and the house was going to be sold, wasn't working out with all you folks living together, and your mother-in-law insisted that the deed be turned back to her. It was, and you believe that you can set off the number of mortgage payments that you made on the house against the $5,000 that you owe her. That's your defense.
No,
in a
not
nutshell.
exactly. Not
Well,
exactly. I'm sorry. Can I clear this up? Okay, my defense is that because of some illegal activities that took place, we had no other choice but to move.
No. I don't want to hear that.
Yes, we had to move out of the house within 2 weeks. We had told her we were selling the house because of what was going on. With the money that we had, we had to actually use a lot of money to leave the house when we shouldn't have had to leave the house.
Is that your defense?
We shouldn't have to have...
Just a second. Is that your defense?
Well, yes.
That because of what you perceive to be some illegal activity that was going on in the house, you chose to move, which was a very good judgment, and you believe that your mother-in-law owes you money, the money that you had to spend to find a new place.
Right. That is included with the money that we spent with the mortgage. This is all tied together.
Well, so I'm going to eliminate your first defense. Your first defense is no defense. Now let's get to the mortgage payments that you say you made. Do you have any other checks?
And the only checks that I would use for the mortgage payments was the household account.
Okay, and who put money into the household account?
It was my wife, myself, and then my mother.
And your mother?
Yes.
Well, how much money did you put into the account?
And my brother.
Just a minute. How much money, and the $400, and how much money did you put into the account every month?
$1,900 a month I put into that account.
Now, my next question to you is the house was sold.
Actually, my son went and got a $20,000 loan that I didn't know about.
Loan for what? Against the house?
Yes.
Did you get a $20,000 loan against the house?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Did you pay it back?
I didn't have an opportunity to.
No, did you pay it back?
I was paying the loan back to the people that I got the loan from.
Did you put in any money towards the down payment?
Towards the down payment, no.
So she has $100,000 in down payment.
Right.
Right?
Correct.
She has $100,000. You have Zippo. You can't offset. I mean, first of all, you can't offset it anyway, but it's not even reasonable to offset it. Because if your mother goes to sell the house now, there's a $20,000 loan that you took out that's going to be deducted from the sale price of that house. Did you consult with your mother before you took out this loan? Did she say it was okay?
I didn't need to. I didn't need her permission on that.
Well, you don't need her permission on this either. You
Well,
owe her $5,000. That's what you owe her. That's what you borrow. That's what you repay.
Ms. Morris. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat, please.
All right, this is a little complicated. Let me see if I can simplify it. Ms. Dawkins, according to your complaint, about a year ago, your boyfriend was arrested and was incarcerated. The defendant was a friend and also was a paralegal by trade. You claim that you paid the defendant $2,500, that she said that she had an attorney who would be very good for your boyfriend, and that the $2,500 was a retainer. And then later, when he was given a public defender, she said that she would work with the public defender to file motions and do other things in her capacity as a paralegal. Is that correct?
Yes.
Subsequently, you found out from the attorney, the public defender, who had been assigned to represent your boyfriend, that he told her to stay out of it and not do anything. So you want your $2,500 back.
Right.
Is that this case?
That's it.
Ms. Morris says that the $2,500 was in fact paid to her, but it was for the return of a loan. Now, first tell me, just for my own information, what was your boyfriend arrested for?
It's for a murder. He's still in prison right now.
And he still has a public defender.
Right.
Did the attorney who Ms. Morris said that she had that would be very good for your boyfriend, did he ever appear in court?
No.
When did you give her this $2,500?
In November 2000.
Did you give it to her in check or cash?
I sent her a money order with cash.
You have a copy of that money order?
Yes.
I'd like to see it, please.
Well, Western Union. Receipt.
I'd like to see it. I'd like you to tell me, Ms. Dawkins, about the discussion that you had with her when you sent her this check.
Like you said, my boyfriend had went to prison, and because of that, we called on Paulette for legal advice, and she told us that she would see what she could do. And she told me that he would need a lawyer, and she had a friend that she was going to talk to. So she did that. I talked to Paulette a couple days later, and she told me that if I got $10,000, that we would be able to retain this lawyer. All I had at that time was $2,500, and his mother tried to come up with the rest of the money, but we couldn't. So he was given a conflict panel attorney, and we left it alone because we knew we weren't going to come up with the rest of the money. Then she told me that she had spoke with his attorney and that they agreed to work on that.
The attorney who was assigned
to assigned to him, yes. She told me that she had spoke with him and that they agreed to work on the case together, but since he got paid through the state, that I would have to give her the money that I had already had, the $2,500, for her to file the motions and to do some research on her own on my boyfriend's behalf.
Is that when you sent the money?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I sent the money from out of state because I was out there with some family. When I came back from out of state, I had got a hold of his attorney, and he told me that he told Paulette
not to get involved with the case because she couldn't do anything but hurt it. I got suspicious about it because I had talked to my boyfriend. He told me Paulette had not attended any court dates since I had sent her the money.
Okay. Ms. Morris, I will hear you.
First of all, Your Honor, I've never seen or met Jessica before in my life. This is my first time ever laying eyes on her. As far
You were
as
a friend of her boyfriend's?
Yeah, he calls me Mom. I'm kind of like a mentor to him. And
Not such a good mentor if he's in jail for murder.
No, that...
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Prior to him being arrested, I've been helping him try to find a job. He really was pushing the pedal on finding a job. He eventually found a job. The date that he started his job, he got arrested, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Prior to that, I had loaned the ex-boyfriend a total of $1,200 to help him with her to move into an apartment complex to get on his feet. And he told me that he would pay me back $100 a month. Mom, I will pay you $100 a month until I pay you back. And that's fine. It's no problem. I'm a gambler, Your Honor.
So, you loaned him $1,200.
I loaned him $1,200.
Right.
And what he asked me to do was to find him an attorney, which I did. I had a friend who practices in criminal law. I have never, and I really get offended when someone refers to me as a paralegal because I've never even held myself out to be a paralegal. I don't even do paralegal work.
I'm not following you, Ms. Morris. Is it your claim that you loaned the ex-boyfriend money and this $2,500 was repayment of that loan?
$1,200.
$1,200.
Okay.
Okay.
Now-
No, is that your claim? The $1,200 is a repayment of the loan?
Correct.
Okay. And what's the rest of the money for?
Okay. I went on behalf of him and I've gathered a lot of information out on the streets that I could get a lot better than investigators could get. And I gave the information to an investigator for the attorney. And at some point I didn't feel comfortable with it, so I gave the rest of the information to the MET unit, which is like a SMASH unit, a drug unit. In the meantime, Randy called me and asked me if I would take, first he called my daughter to ask if she would take his son, because his son was in some very serious danger. The son at the time was only 14 months old. Miss Dawkins here was in possession of Randy's son when the murder occurred. He was begging my daughter to take the baby. My daughter couldn't. So he says, I'll ask Mom. And I told him I would do it for $2,500 until he gets out, because raising a baby is not cheap. They couldn't come up with the full $2,500, so I said, okay, the 12 and the 13, $2,500, I will go ahead and do it. When you get out, him, the ex-boyfriend, and her were supposed to take the baby. Well, it ends up that he's still there. He's not in prison, Your Honor.
Where is he?
He's in a county jail. He's not been tried. He's not in prison. The
He's
case
in
is
county
still
jail.
pending.
He's whatever.
Yeah.
He's not free.
Right.
Where did you get this money from, Ms. Dawkins?
I had it saved up. And I have
This
a letter.
is your money?
Yes. I have a letter from Randy showing exactly why she took the money. It doesn't say anything about a loan that was given to him or...
This is the person who was
That's
incarcerated.
in jail, right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jessica Dawkins says she gave money to her ex-boyfriend's friend, Paulette Morris, so she could retain a lawyer on his behalf. Jessica says Paulette blew the money.
Let me tell you the problem with your defense, Miss Morris. Your loan agreement was not with the plaintiff. Your loan agreement, if I believe you, was with a person who was incarcerated. And there is no proof that the person who was incarcerated paid that money, that she paid the money.
However, there is, Your Honor.
Tell me what that is.
The reason I'm being brought here today is because Ms. Dawkins found out that my daughter Kyla here, who was really close friends with Randy, was seeing Randy. She found out about that, and that's when holy hell came about. Her problem is between her and my daughter and Randy. I'm
How
being
old is your
drawn into-
daughter?
My daughter's 19 years old.
What do you mean she was seeing Randy?
My daughter had a boyfriend at the time. Jessica was with Randy at the same time. They were all kind of hanging out and having fun together. I had no idea that they were seeing each other, you know, other than being friends.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Dawkins. Did you ever have a telephone conversation with the defendant?
Yes.
When
Several.
did you have that telephone conversation?
I've had several conversations with her.
Relative to the $2,500?
Probably around June or July that I spoke with her and asked her about the money.
What do you mean asked her about what?
Because this is when I found out, this is when I had got back and I had spoke with Randy. He told me she had not been to his court dates. Since I gave her the money, he hasn't heard from her. So I had called her up to see what was going on with that money and why she wasn't doing what she promised. And that's when she told me she had the baby, and I have never had custody of Randy's son, ever.
Who asked you to send this money?
She asked me to send this money to her.
Did you speak to Randy first?
Yes, but he did not tell me to give her the money. I didn't speak with Randy that much because they're collect calls. I can't speak with him that much. I spoke with the defendant, and she told me she would need the money to file motions and do research.
Ms. Morris, where is this child now?
The child is residing with me. In January, I will be adopting the child. I have a letter here from Randy as well, asking the judge court, and it is in the papers, as to him wanting me to take the baby. As far as me not going to Randy's court appearances or anything, he requested me not to for the safety of the baby.
Well, this letter does not give you the ability to adopt the child.
No,
I have. It does not give his consent.
I have the.
Did you file a petition to adopt the child?
I have the petition for guardianship.
Guardianship is not adoption.
No, the laws have changed within 1 year in January. The adoption procedures will be
start.
Will start, exactly.
Can start. His parental rights have to be terminated.
Terminated
Where's
within
the mother?
1 year. The mother is in a youth halfway home. She just got out of juvenile hall.
Are you paid any money by the state?
Now
Ms.
I am.
Morris?
Yes, I am.
Let me finish. There is a procedure that is used in this country. It's called kinship foster care, or foster care with someone that you know. So the state gives you money every month for taking care of the baby. How much do you receive from the state?
$406.
And how long has the child been with you?
The child has been with me since January 2nd. I began receiving payments in about March.
So March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So you've received 8 payments?
Approximately, yes.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. So you've received $3,200 so far. So this money that you say he's supposed to give you for taking care of the child, you have been reimbursed for taking care of the child.
Oh,
by
yes.
the state.
I had no
by
choice.
The state.
Right.
By the state.
And what happened was when the child was brought to me, the child came to me with just a shirt, a dirty diaper, and a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
I had to completely furnish a room, completely buy all clothing, all items that a baby would need to sustain
The state
him.
also gives you a stipend for that clothing allowance.
No, I got that later on.
But I know that you get a clothing allowance and a stipend, and also money to furnish a room.
$100.
I know that you get. I know that you get that.
$100.
So don't say no. Yes, you do. You get $100 for what?
A year.
For what?
For a clothing allowance.
Okay. Well, you get $400 a month. The child that age doesn't eat $100 a week.
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
But the child wears diapers. The child had bottles.
Right.
The child needed clothing.
Right.
The child has daycare. I work.
No, you don't pay for the daycare for the child.
Exactly. It comes
exactly.
From the money.
So don't tell me you have daycare because the state pays for the daycare for the child.
No, it comes out of the $400.
No. The state pays for daycare with daycare vouchers if
That
you're
is
working.
not true, Your Honor.
I don't know what state you come from.
He's not a foster child, Your Honor. He's a ward. He's my ward. I'm his legal guardian. When I do put him into a facility, once he's potty trained, it goes according to my income.
So who babysits for the child?
Whoever I can get to babysit for him.
Who do you get to babysit for
Usually
the
my
child?
relatives or some really close friends.
Okay. Good.
And
I
also,
gotcha.
Your Honor, here...
I gotcha.
Okay. On the other point, the papers that I'm showing here where I did give Randy the money for him and the apartment for him and Jessica, which they both were dwelling in, is here. My daughter been there.
Were you living in an apartment that she helped fund?
No, I didn't know anything about that. If she helped Randy fund an apartment, then Randy needs to pay her back.
Right.
Did she reside
I did
in the
not know.
apartment?
Doesn't make any difference.
I didn't know anything about any
The
money that
loan
he
was
gave
not made to her. The loan was made to him. If you had a misjudgment, Miss Morris, with regard to the person to whom you made a loan, you can't visit that on her. And there is no proof that the money that she sent you, the $2,500, came from Randy.
I know it didn't come from Randy.
Well, if it didn't come from Randy, it has to go back to her. And if he ever gets out of jail because you say he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, then I assume that he will be acquitted of these horrendous charges. And at that time, I assume he'll pay you the money back that he owes you. But that's not her responsibility. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I honestly believe that it was behind jealousy because of my daughter and her ex-boyfriend.
There are plenty of men out there. I don't need to hold on to someone that's in jail that's going to mess with someone like that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Luster versus Fair. Step forward.
22-year-old makeup artist Kelly Luster is suing her ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old general contractor Herbert Fair, for unpaid credit card charges and for the balance of a computer.
Ms. Luster, according to your complaint, the defendant is your former boyfriend.
Correct.
And there was a time when you allowed him to make purchases on a credit card.
Correct.
When you broke up, you put a stop on that credit card and said that you no longer wanted him to be able to make purchases on it. And the next day or something, he made $677 worth of payments on the credit card. You say that there have been no payments on that amount, and you want him to pay you that amount because you're not together anymore, and you don't want to be bothered with him and come chasing him, and the bank is looking for you, and it affects your credit.
Correct.
In addition, you allowed him to purchase a computer on your credit card.
We opened up a gateway account, and it was under my name because I had good credit. And we paid the payments together. We lived together for about 3 years, and the payments were fine. We paid them together. And as soon as we broke up, I was paying the payments, and the computer remained at his house.
He agrees that he put that money on the credit card, $677.
I do.
And what's left on the computer is what?
The amount is $1,357.88.
Now, Mr. Fair says he did pay for a substantial amount of the computer, and he does acknowledge that there is an additional amount owing on the computer. His defense is that he made some sort of a loan for some plastic surgery that you had.
It doesn't matter what the loan was, Your Honor. I just basically...
He loaned her money.
I lent her money. I just...
Well, that's what you say in your answer.
Doesn't
so you
matter
want
what
to tell
it
me
is.
about this loan that you say negates the $677, as well as the $1,357 that's left on the computer that is in your possession.
This is true.
Well, tell me.
Well,
What
basically,
loan did you
know,
make her?
I gave her a loan. It doesn't really matter what it was. I mean, I was with her for 3.5 years, and I was basically, putting her through school and doing some things, for her. And basically, I felt that I didn't have to make the payments no more on the computer because of so much money that I had invested into this relationship as well.
Your Honor, I paid him back the loan that he gave to me. So that has nothing to do with the computer. I paid him back every single dime that he lent me. So it has nothing...
Did you?
Yes.
But she was supposed to pay me back, but she didn't pay me back on time.
But I still paid him back. He was still paid back. I mean...
How much did you borrow from him?
I borrowed $3,000 from him, and he was paid back every single dime.
Is
He
that
wasn't
correct,
paid
sir?
back exactly.
I was paid
the
it back, yeah, but not the time that I was told that I was going to be paid back.
Were you paid back before you broke up?
Yes.
Yes.
So it wasn't an issue.
Yes, I don't even know why he's even bringing that up. I think he's just using that because he knows that he owes me for these things.
So what is your defense, sir? I don't know what your defense is, Mr. Fair. If that's
Well,
not your
basically,
defense...
I mean, like I said, 3.5 years of being into this relationship with her and stuff, and I took care of her basically for 3.5 years. I felt that I didn't need to pay these both bills, and these are basically it between her and I. So.
As you can see why I don't want to be with him any longer. I paid him back every single dime that...
He says that you paid him back.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the money that he owes me. And he knows that he owes me this money, and he's just trying to make excuses and make up stupid things. I even have proof. I have the bills, if you want to see them.
He doesn't deny the bills, Miss Luster. He doesn't deny the bills, and he doesn't have a defense. So judgment
He never does.
Judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,034.
Thank you, Your Honor.
How old is he?
5.
Is he smart 5?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your name?
Connor.
Connor. Connor, would you come and sit up here for me? Because I can't see you over that high table.
Can you get up there? Here we go.
Hi, Connor. Do you know who I am? You know my
Judge Judy.
Right. Do you know what my job is? Do you know that you're in a court? Do you know what happens in a court? Did your mom tell you?
No.
Well, let me tell you. In a court, 2 people have a disagreement, and I'm supposed to make a decision as to who's right and who's wrong. You understand that? So it's very important that the people who tell me things in court tell me only the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the truth is?
Yeah. People tell the truth.
Hopefully, they always tell the truth. Do you always tell the truth? Do you remember when you were at the powwow in Riverside Park? Remember that day? Do you remember the day you got bitten by the dog?
Yeah, it did.
It did what?
Bit me right here.
Do you remember what the dog looked like? Don't remember. That's maybe a good thing.
He does.
Was it a big dog or a little dog, Connor?
Big.
Did you go up to the dog to pet it?
Yeah.
And what happened when you went up to the dog to pet it?
Her asked me if I wanted to pet it, and I said yes.
Who asked you?
The lady, and I said yeah, and I said it to pet it, and it bit me.
So the lady asked you if you wanted to pet it. Did any of the other children want to pet the dog?
Shane did, and it didn't bit him.
It didn't. Show me where the dog bit you, Connor.
Right here, and you can't really see that one.
Did the lady who had the dog help you after the dog bit you? Who came to help you?
My mom.
Okay. All right, Connor, you can go and sit down over there. Okay. What happened immediately after your son was bitten?
When I heard him scream, I got up. I had put my food down, turned around. Somebody was holding him. I don't know if it was the defendant or my friend's mother. I wasn't even paying attention. I immediately grabbed him. Somebody was handing me paper towel, and I was going for first aid. And I saw out of the corner of my eye the defendants headed towards the parking lot with the dog.
What kind of dog was it?
A white Malamute.
That's a pretty big dog.
Yes.
Connor went to the hospital?
Yes.
And what happened at the hospital?
We waited for approximately 5 hours, and then they sedated him and gave him 9 stitches in the face.
Did you have consultations with plastic surgeons with regard to the scar on his face?
They do not want to see him until the scars are at least 6 months old.
Now I'll hear your version of the story.
We were at the Indian powwow the 9th of September. My friend Wolf Runner and his wife had booths. There are thousands of people there. It's a very large Indian gathering.
So it's very crowded?
Very, very noisy. A lot of people coming and going. We were behind his booth. The 3 children that were together, my friend Wolf Runner introduced to me as his grandchildren. Connor being one of them, and the other boy being another, and there was one other. I don't know his name.
There were a lot of other dogs there?
Quite a few, on leashes, just like mine. We kept mine by the booth. The little boy, brother, had pet the dog. I was sitting right there. The dog was on his haunches, sitting. Not a problem. We were very careful. He is a big puppy. He's still a puppy.
How old is he?
He's a year and a half old. I have pictures.
I'd like to see the picture.
Okay. We were in back of the booth getting ready to say goodbye to my friends Bonnie and Wolf Runner. The dog was sitting on his haunches. My friend Rick, my witness, had the dog by the leash. I had him by the collar. The little boy wanted to pet him. The dog never got up off his butt. He petted the dog's nose. My dog never growled, barked, nothing. I don't know what happened. He turned his head. The dog, within a second or less, grabbed his face. Rick had him down on the ground. I picked the little boy up. He was still standing. I called Bonnie, who I thought was his grandmother. That's who I was introduced to. And Bonnie came running out, and I handed the little boy to his mother, if that's who it was. And the dog was never loose nor anything.
I understand that.
Yeah.
There's no question that the dog was on a leash.
Right. And after the bite, Wolf Runner said, "Get the dog out of here." I don't know what agitated it. Get him out. I said, "Please let me know as soon as possible." And he said he would.
Okay. Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Richard Scio.
Mr. Scio, if you were to relate to me the events of that afternoon, would they be pretty much consistent with what the defendant had just told me?
Yes, ma'am.
So the little boy did absolutely nothing to the dog?
No.
The little boy came up, touched the dog on the nose. The dog did not flinch. He didn't torment the dog. He didn't spook the dog. And the dog, when he turned his face, the dog just went for him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Autumn Decker says her son, 5-year-old Connor, was bitten in the face by Marie Moore's dog.
It's not a difficult case. Here we have a situation where you have a child who's been injured by your dog. I don't even have to ask you whether your dog has bitten anybody else before.
No.
I assume not.
Never.
But the dog did bite this child.
Yes, he did.
And who should bear, first, the financial cost of the doctor's bills, etc., with regard to the dog? Clearly, you have to do that. You know, it's always difficult when you take a dog to a large gathering. I'm a dog owner, and I know that even my little dog gets a little nervous when they're around so many, she said hundreds, you said thousands of people. When you have a big dog that's around thousands of people and there are kids, you sometimes run the risk of your dog becoming more agitated than normal, more anxious than normal. So you are clearly responsible. I don't think that you're bad people. You did have your dog on a leash, but you're clearly responsible. I don't buy into this sometimes artificial statutory scheme which says that every dog is entitled to one bite before the owner's liable. In my view, which is, I believe, the common law view of this kind of situation, you have an innocent party and a guilty party. The guilty party had a dog, looks like a lovely animal, but certainly capable of doing damage, and did damage, and you're responsible, absolutely. Your request for judgment is for $3,000, which I assume includes your medical bills and whatever plastic surgery Connor is going to have to fix that scar on his face. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He filed enough papers in our county that they came to my home and took my dog and killed him.
Any dog that bites, especially a child, should automatically be euthanized after the quarantine.
The lady asked me if I wanted to pet it, and I said, yeah, and I came up to pet it, and it bit me.
And now the next case.
All parties on Punterero versus Peach. Step forward, please.
22-year-old student Corinne Punterero is suing her ex-roommate, 22-year-old student Rebecca Peach, for breaking a lease. Rebecca says she moved out because she needed gallbladder surgery.
Ms. Pontuero, according to your complaint, you and the defendant know each other from college, and you had decided to room together for this coming year.
Yes.
When did you sign the lease?
Last year.
What month?
I believe it was in April.
And at some time, about a month later, the defendant decided that she did not want to live with you, and you've had to move into this rental by yourself. You want her to pay her share of the year's rent.
Yes, it's a 3-bedroom apartment. There's me and one other housemate. And with her not living there, we're responsible for her rent. Our landlord is now taking us to court for her part of the rent. In the lease, it says that no matter what, you're jointly and severely responsible for fulfillment of the lease.
Severally, not severely, severally. Let me have the lease, please.
I have this from both years.
Okay. When did you change your mind?
I actually have an email I've written to Corinne. It's stated June 12th. That states that I won't be coming
stated what?
back. June 12th.
Okay, you changed your mind June 12th.
It wasn't so much changing my mind. I was very ill. Corinne and I were disagreeing. It was not a very good living environment for myself. And I have doctors, notes, everything. It was impossible for me to come back to school.
So then what did you do to try to get a new roommate?
With me being sick, it was hard.
What were you sick with?
I had my gallbladder taken out 2 years ago. I vomit a lot. I throw up a lot. That's why I had written her the email to let her know that I won't be back, that I'm going to need help with this.
Let me see the email.
I have it highlighted where I said I wasn't going to be back.
You were all supposed to move in on the end of August. Is that right?
Yeah.
And according to this lease, the landlord wanted payments for the rent in 2 parts, $4,000 in the beginning of one semester, and then in the spring semester, another $4,000. The spring semester doesn't start until when? February, March?
January.
January. And what you're suing her for is really 1/3 of the entire lease. Is that right?
Yes.
I don't know about this vacuum cleaner and television set.
Your Honor, I also have an email dated June 12th also. She never said anything about being sick. She never gave me that reason.
We were fighting. I didn't feel the reason. I need to explain myself.
Well, it's a rather nasty email, and it seems to me a lot of other things going on other than just your former gallbladder condition, Ms. Peach. You had an obligation to try to locate a third roommate to take over your obligation under the lease.
I understand that.
You have an obligation to what they call ameliorate your damages, which means you too have to make an effort to locate a third roommate.
We posted these all around campus, and usually when everybody looks for an apartment, you sign a lease well ahead of time. Right now, everybody in school already has signed leases for their living arrangements next year. So finding a roommate now is next to impossible because everybody already has their apartments.
Well, at this point, yes, but probably not in June, and certainly not for the spring semester.
Well, we've been looking. We found
because
somebody...
situations change, so there is no way that I'm going to grant you an award for the entire amount of the rent that's due and owing, because the spring semester is a whole different scenario. Having had kids in school, I know that after a few months in college, situations change. And kids say, I don't like living with you, and I don't like living with you. I'm going to look for a new roommate. You make new friends, so you can find yourself in a position of filling up that third bedroom, which I'm sure you use now occasionally anyway. You have visitors come up and they use that room?
Actually, it's pretty empty.
It's not what I asked you. I said, do you sometimes have visitors, friends come up and use that room? Parents, anybody
Not
else?
that room, no.
They don't use that room. It just stands as a shrine to the defendant. What's next?
If I may interject for a second.
Sure.
The TV we had bought together, I had left her half the money for it when I moved out in the summertime. And the vacuum cleaner, I don't remember us having one second semester because our first semester housemate took it with her. We didn't have a vacuum the second semester.
Well, that's what some of the other things she's suing for, a vacuum cleaner and a television set.
I had gotten a phone call from the Fredonia Police Department about me stealing a television and a vacuum cleaner. Now, when I went up to school, I made sure nobody was there. I took all of my stuff out, left her half the money for the TV we bought together, which was $60.
And did you take the TV?
And I took the TV with me. And I did not take the vacuum. I'm living at home. I don't need the vacuum cleaner.
At the time, I didn't know she had left the money because my other housemate had set it aside for me, but she wasn't home. So I went to the police department and I filled out this report, and I find it hard to believe that the TV and all her stuff would be gone, along with the vacuum cleaner.
Well,
but
she says she took the TV, but she left you money, which you acknowledge because your roommate had the money.
Yeah, she
and
took
just
the money.
didn't tell you, so you included the TV in the police report that you filed against her, and the TV should not have been included in that police report.
Well, she says that we bought the TV together, and we did not. I bought it on my credit card, and I have the receipt here if you want.
We split that.
Well, it's very possible you put it on your... I'm not going to get involved with $60 for a television
That's fine,
set.
too, but I did not take a vacuum cleaner.
There's no proof that you took the vacuum cleaner. What's next?
Well, I have all the copies of the bills from last semester. That some of them we still owe, some of them are in her name, some of them are in mine.
I just got a $617 phone bill in my name, which I don't know why it's still in my name, but I just received this phone bill from the phone company.
Let me see. Why don't you, Bert, instead of my looking at them, why don't you have them exchange these bills and look at them?
Your Honor, I acknowledge these bills.
Good.
What I want to say is that I never received them to pay them.
Okay, so there are $624.17 in bills that she says that you owe from last semester, and you got a phone bill for $600.
And $17, yes.
Right?
Actually, all these numbers are her numbers. They're all in Long Island. They're all West Palm Beach.
There's Buffalo and there, Williamsville from her town. So
well, I will be glad to go through them and find out which ones are mine, but the vast majority of them are from hers.
Let me see. You expect me to go through all these charges?
No.
Good. Then step outside. Call you back in 5 minutes. Here, Bird, send them outside, please. Thank you. Okay, so who was Talkie Sally?
Well, I went over the long-distance bills, highlighted what I owe, everything from the Buffalo and Buffalo area, and I owe $9.30.
Is that right?
I guess so. I didn't really look at it.
What do you
She
mean?
had
you
it.
didn't
She
really
had the
look?
calculator. I was.
All right, so let me see the entire phone bill, please. All right, Miss Peach.
Yes.
So from your phone bill of $617, the plaintiff owes you $9.30.
That's fine.
So it's a good lesson. Miss Peach, your lesson is as follows. How old are you?
22.
If you're 22, you're an adult. When you're an adult and you enter into a contract, you are obligated to fulfill your contract. You're no longer a kid. But you have an obligation, too, to reduce your damages. You can't sit there with a 3-bedroom apartment and say, well, now I have a bedroom for myself, a bedroom for my roommate, and I got a whole area for storage. Don't play with paper when I'm talking to you. It's rude. So I believe that you are entitled to this semester's portion of her rent for the fall semester, because I agree with you that it could have been difficult in June to try to find a new roommate. That doesn't mean that I believe that you can't find somebody else for the spring semester. Now, that doesn't mean that you necessarily don't have a cause of action against her if, in the spring semester, after a good faith effort to locate another roommate, you're not able to locate another roommate. This award will cover this semester's rent, clear, plus your utility bills from last year. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,948. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 453 on the calendar in the matter of Lockett versus Perry.
Thank you.
Quite welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Lockett, according to what I read in your complaint, you and the defendant have a long relationship dating back about 5 years. You have a 2-year-old child together. It is your claim that in 1997 you made a loan to the defendant. Again, in 1999 you made a loan to the defendant. Now that you are no longer a couple, you want those loans paid back. He is counterclaiming. He says you vandalized his car, and years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, you were using his car and got parking tickets. He wants you to pay those 4-year-old parking tickets, right?
That's correct.
Have you nothing better to do with your time? Tell me about this first loan in 1997.
In 1997, Mr. Perry and I worked at a company together, and I quit before he was fired, and he was caught stealing money from the company, and they had made an arrangement for him to make payments, and I used to go with him every week to drop off the payments because he was not allowed to set foot on the premises anymore. And after a while, he decided to stop making payments, and they demanded the money in full, and he asked me to loan him the money, and I did.
How much did you give him at that time?
$2,150.
Now, what arrangements were made to repay that money?
He was supposed to start making payments to me as soon as he got back to work, like within the next month or so.
Well, did he ever do that?
No, he never made any payments to me. He lost his job soon thereafter, and after that, he was fired from like 4 other positions, 2 for stealing apparel or money as well. And every time it was time for him to make a payment to me, there was always something else that he had to do with his money so that he could not pay me my money back.
So then you had a child with him?
We had a child together.
No, afterwards. After he lost all his jobs, you knew he caught stealing. Just listen to me. After you knew he got caught stealing, according to you, he promised to pay you back this money in a month, and he never did. So he didn't make payments in all of 1997. He didn't make payments in all of 1998. He lost all these jobs. That's why he didn't make payments. So then you decided to start a family together. Does that sound like very good judgment to you?
No, I was young, and I was in love. So no, it's not very good judgment, and I would be the first one to say that.
All right. When was the last time you asked him for this money?
The last time I asked him for the money, it was December of 2000. And we were on the phone talking, and I said, you know, it's entering another year. Do you think you could come up with some of my money? And he said, well, I don't plan on paying you anytime soon, and that the first time he would be able to make me a payment would be 2003 because he planned on giving me a lump sum of money. And that, okay.
Now, after 1997, and he didn't pay you back a penny, then, according to you, you lent him more money.
Yes.
When?
In 1999, he called me from jail. He had been arrested on a traffic violation of some sort. He said he had some of the money with him in jail, that he was going to be able to use some of that for bail money, and that as soon as he got out of jail, we were going to go to the bank. When I got to the jail, I bailed him out. His sister and I drove him to the bank. He made up some story about the police keeping his identification card, and he could not pay me the money back again. So after everything was over, he had a
it was a fine due for $300, and he refused to pay the fine. And he told me I should just go on and sign my bail money over too, and he would pay me back that at a later date. And I never signed.
So he had a fine.
A fine.
Of the same amount as your bail money, which is $300. So you just signed your bail
I didn't
money.
sign it over. I refused to sign it over. And after a while, they said if he didn't make payment, that it was going to be forfeit. So it was forfeit anyways. And he just never gave me the money back for that.
When you were arrested in 1999 on this traffic problem that you had, were you arrested in your car?
Yes.
What kind of a car were you arrested in?
It was not my car. It belonged to my sister.
Just a second. Was that my question?
You said what type of car? It was
Yeah, I didn't ask you whose car it was. I
Okay.
said, what type of car is
Make
it?
and model?
Yes.
89 Nissan Sentra, I believe.
The Toyota Camry. It was a Toyota Camry he was arrested in, a blue Toyota Camry.
Oh, yes, I remember it well. Do you currently own a car?
Yes, I do.
What kind of car do you own?
I own a black 1991 Eagle Premier.
How much did you pay for the car?
$2,500.
And what kind of work are you doing now, Mr. Perry?
I'm a market analyst.
You work for a company?
Yes,
How long have you been working for that company?
3 years.
Who has physical custody of your child?
Miss Lockett does.
Are you currently under a support order for your child?
Yes, I am.
Are you up to date in your support payment?
Oh, yes.
Is that correct?
No, he owes money on it still. He contacted me and told me they said they were going to garnish his income tax because he still owes back money on child support.
How much does he owe on his child support?
I don't know how much he owes on it. I don't know.
When did he start to make child support
He
payments?
started to make child support payments when my son was almost a year old. So he owed money from June. I didn't get my first payment until October of '99.
That's not correct, Your Honor. She's being dishonest at this point.
Okay, so there were a couple of months, but since October of 1999, he's been making the support payments.
Oh, it's garnished, so yes, I get it directly.
Oh, it is garnished,
yes,
right,
it
from
is
his
garnished
salary?
because he refused to
that's
pay it.
perfect. All right, Mr. Perry, let's start out with this $2,150.
Okay.
What company were you working for at the time that Miss Lockett indicates that you had some difficulty?
I should say, Your Honor, that Miss Lockett is making up the bulk of her story.
All right, what company was he working for?
Bagel.
Bagel. Where
Yes.
are they located?
It's in Rochester, New York.
And what was he doing there?
It wasn't as high as a manager, but he was in a position higher than me, so maybe like a key holder or something of that nature.
Okay. Do you remember the name of his immediate superior?
It was Ron, but he's no longer with the company.
That's convenient.
Oh, I'm good at this. Believe me, I'm good at this. Do you recall whether or not they reported this to the police?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Also very convenient. Sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Do you remember the entire amount that it was alleged he stole?
No, he never told me how much. He never told me how much money they said he stole.
Okay. Now, Mr. Perry,
Yes, Your Honor.
before I go and try to make heads or tails of this thing, why don't you tell me? You said there wasn't the whole truth about this incident at Bagel, but it was only partial truth.
No.
So tell me your version of what happened in 1997 when you worked for Bagel.
Your Honor, Miss Lockett is manipulating facts that have happened.
No, I'm asking you, just tell me what
There's
happened.
nothing that happened at Bagel. So to tell you, answer your question specifically.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened at Bagel. She can provide absolutely no documentation because there was never any incidents of me stealing money or doing anything of that nature at Bagel. I resigned from Bagel. She is lying. She cannot prove
Your Honor, that's not true.
anything that she is saying is
Okay.
totally a lie.
That-
As far as that goes, there is partial truth to what she's saying.
So then let me hear the partial truth before you irritate me and I have to go investigate myself.
I was arrested on a traffic violation, and she did bail me out of jail.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, that's the only truth.
I'm talking about 1997, an alleged loan to you of $2,150.
That's all a lie. That's all a lie.
That's not true.
Okay. You have a bank withdrawal for $2,150
I have
on or
a
about
bank.
that time?
Yep, a bank statement that I withdrew.
Can I see it? Did you give that money in check or cash?
I gave it to him in cash. He went with me to the bank, actually. He picked me up from school and drove me to the bank so I can give him all of my money.
What's the area code in Rochester, New York?
716.
Thank you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catrice Lockett says Jason Perry owes her for paying back an employer who accused him of stealing. Jason denies the charge and the loan.
Good morning. This is Judge Judy Sheindlin. I have a case before me that involves a former employee of yours. I don't know how long you've been there, but this person was employed back in 1997. Jason Perry, P-E-R-R-Y. Okay, great. I'm taking testimony now with regard to some money that he paid back to Bagel in October of 1997. A payment of $2,150. Is that right? Okay. What was the total amount that was alleged that he took? Do you remember? Right. Okay. You have been an absolute angel. Thanks, Lisa. Bye-bye. You stole $5,000. Your parents paid back the rest. $2,150 was paid by her. Do you? Because that was the last payment. According to somebody who has, in fact, been there for a very long time and knows you, sir. See what happens when you lie? You think I'm stupid?
No, but that's
Good.
not true.
So, it's not true. No, I called somebody and I said, listen, are you familiar with Mr. Perry? Oh, yes, I am. There an incident in 1997 with regarding some money that he paid back to Bagel? Oh, absolutely. Do you recall how much money he paid?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Judgment for the plaintiff on her complaint in the amount of $2,435. I'm not even getting into anything else with him, because once somebody lies, they don't get a second chance with me. Your counterclaim's dismissed, sir. That's all.
Oh, you may step out.
I can't believe this. She was lying through her teeth, and I don't know who Judge Judy called. That's ridiculous. But this whole thing has been a farce.
I feel like I got my justice, and I want everyone to watch out for this man because he will suck you dry.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Chase versus Brooks. Step forward.
33-year-old bus driver Tammy Chase is suing her former friends Susie and Larry Brooks for car payments. Tammy says the Brooks repossessed the car.
Miss Chase, the defendants were friends of yours.
Yes.
And some time ago, you were talking about buying a new car. According to what I've read in your papers, the defendants suggested that they had a car, and if you wished to take over the payments on the car would be yours when the car was paid for.
Yes.
And you did take over the payments and take possession of the car. According to you, you made all those payments, and despite that, they came and repossessed the car. You won all the payments that you made at the time that the car was in your possession. They say you were late with your payments and sometimes came up short, so they repossessed the car. Right?
Right.
When did you take possession of the car?
In May. I made the first payment in April, though.
And what were the monthly payments?
It was $387.68.
And how many months did you have the car?
From April till October.
7 payments you made in total. Did you pay by check or cash?
Cash, 1 check, and money orders.
Let me see the checks and the money orders.
It begins here. And it goes on to the other pages.
And how many payments do you claim that you received for the car?
I claim that she made all 7 payments.
Okay, so there's no dispute as to that.
No.
She made all 7 payments.
Right.
If she made all 7 car payments, why did you take back the car?
Because she made the payments, but she made them late.
Yeah.
And she also made them, she didn't pay them all in full. She was short.
But you said she made all the payments she was supposed to make.
She never paid the full amount each month, and she never paid it on time.
How much short do you claim she was?
Well, 1 month I got a check that was a $70 check that bounced.
Which month was that?
This was in August. When I called her and asked her about it, she said to talk to her boyfriend because it wasn't he owed her the money and it wasn't her responsibility.
Did she ever make up that check?
No. Her boyfriend did.
I don't know whether she or her boyfriend did. So you got the full amount for August.
No, I got that. First of all, the payments were late. Our agreement, I have a written agreement stating that if she was late, I would take the car back.
And that was a 5-day grace period.
How much do you claim she paid you in total towards the car in the 7 months she had the car, madam?
Probably.
Not probably. You must have a record.
I don't have a record because I've never given her a receipt because I've never seen her since June. So I couldn't have given her receipts.
Look, Miss Brooks, I'm not asking you about receipts. If somebody is short when they give you money, then you keep a ledger. the ledger says this is what she's paid me, this is what she owes me. What, are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. I couldn't do that because, first of all, she never paid me. She paid my husband. She never paid my husband.
He's not allowed to talk. Right?
Okay, okay.
You're
Well,
doing
can I
all the
tell you-
talking.
Can I tell you how it started first so that you can understand where we're at right now? There's a situation that gets to this point.
At anything other than the car. You can't
That's
take
what
back...
I want to tell you about.
Go ahead.
Okay, what had happened was we have a written agreement here stating that if she was late on the car, we would, at any time after the grace period, we would take back possession of the car.
Which I never used the grace period
Excuse
at
me,
all.
it's my turn.
Well, then
Okay,
tell the
then in July she started making late payments. I would call her on the 5th and say, Tammy, if there's going to be a problem with making the car payment, you need to call me and let me know. She would call me the date of the thing and say, I need 5 more days grace period, I don't have all the money. So there was always a problem. So then there was a problem with reckless driving in the car. So we took the car back once. We had the car back in our possession for 1 week, and then we gave it back to her. Then when we gave her back the car, then the problems continued to start. So what we decided to do, I told her, Tammy, instead of making the payments, I said, bring me back the car. It's not working out because every time I would call on the phone, there was a verbal abuse. I'll pay you whenever I want to. It was a big problem.
But you can't take the car back and then not give her back any money.
I told her, when we got the car repoed, I said, I will give you $200, the money that you pay for this month, I will give it back to you in full. It's not working out. It's nothing but problems.
Just a second. So you were willing to give her back the money she paid for the last month and you were going to take back the car. What about some of the other money that she paid towards paying off your car note?
Well, we never asked for a down payment on the car. We've been paying on the car for 3 years.
Yeah. You've been paying on the car for 3 years and she paid on it for 7 months. But you have the car.
Right. We have the car, but it's not necessarily because of the car payment. It was because of what she was doing in the car. We could not be responsible.
Let us assume that you are correct, that she did not live up to her agreement to pay the note on time, and that at least 1 month she gave you a $70 check that bounced. It bounced, did it not?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So that
But we
clearly
spent it on
is a late payment. Because it bounced. So that's in violation of your agreement.
Correct.
Fine. You take back the car. What you're suggesting is that when you take back the car, she loses all of her money. Is that what you're suggesting? You have the equity in the car. You have the car. I'm speaking. You're not going to get all this money back. I mean, you have to pay something. You had the use of a car for 7 months. How much do you think you should have to pay for your use of that car? Because you used it for 7 months. You're not going to get all your money back. That means you had use of a car for 7 months for free.
Okay, first of all, I used it for 6 months because I made the first car payment in April. I didn't get it till May.
6 months.
I don't know. I've never thought about it. I figured I should get the money the payments that I put into it, I should get back.
That means you had free use of a car.
Can I just state one thing? Okay, the car, they did not repossess the car. They did not make payments to the finance company for 3 months. That's why it
Doesn't
was
make any
repossessed.
difference.
The money I was giving them, though, they weren't paying the finance company to the car.
Doesn't make any difference. You breached the agreement with them. You breached the agreement with them. They were within their rights to take back the car. You want me to read you the agreement?
No, I know
Well,
what
you know
the agreement is about, but the month that the check bounced is one of the months that they didn't even pay the finance company.
It has nothing to do with you.
Can I at least get my stereo out of the car?
Yes, absolutely. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Within 24 hours of the order, you will return the stereo to them. How much did you pay for the stereo, by the way?
$171, the receipt.
Okay, and I'm going to give you $100 per month for the 7 months that you paid for the car. That is what I consider your equity in the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700 plus the stereo. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step up. Bemisdorfer versus Bennett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Bemisdorfer? Yes. According to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for approximately 5 years. And you have children who were also living with you. Is that right?
Yes.
I believe that the thrust of your complaint is that there came a time that Ms. Bennett had you arrested for domestic violence.
Yes.
Those charges were subsequently dropped, and you want to be reimbursed for your legal fees.
Correct.
And in addition, you claim that during the time that you were either incarcerated or at the police station, she damaged one of your cars.
Correct.
Those are the two things that you're suing her for.
Correct.
So tell me, on What date did this incident occur that caused you to be arrested?
May 27th, 1999, at 1:50 a.m.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding the police being called to the house.
I went to work in the morning time, and I decided I wanted to move out, that I wanted to end the relationship. I called her up at lunchtime. I called her mother. I went to my house at lunchtime. Her mother came there. Her mother said that she can go live with her mother because I was the one paying the rent. She was not working. I was paying all the bills. She said she didn't want to leave. Her daughter didn't want to leave the house. Her mother said, all right, then Linda, you live there. I'll help you pay the rent. So I said, okay, then I'm moving out.
Okay, hold on. Let's go slowly. Is it true, Ms. Bennett, that during the time that you were living together with the plaintiff and your children, that she was paying the rent on the house where you were living?
We shared the bills. We shared.
Were you working?
Yes, I was. I was working at a hospital. Yes.
Part-time.
It was part-time.
Part-time on and off.
Were the majority of the bills being paid by the plaintiff?
No, they were split.
Evenly?
Yes.
Okay. Then what happened?
So then I went back to work, and I told her when I get home from work, I'm moving my stuff out. I came home, I went to a friend's house and started making a room for me to live. I was going to live in a room. So I got home around 1:50 in the morning, and she opened the door for me. The door was locked, and my TV was gone. All the pictures on my walls were gone. Everything was gone. So then, after that, I went in the house and saw that. I ran up to my bedroom where I keep my jewelry and money and stuff like that, but she was in there with the door locked. So I kicked the door in to see what was gone. And then she called 911 and said I hit her and had a restraining order on me.
When you kicked the door in, she was in the bedroom?
She was in the bed.
And what happened after you kicked the door in?
She called 911.
Before there was any further confrontation between
No, I
the
said,
two of
where's
you?
my stuff? What did you do with all my things?
Okay, and what did she say?
Get out.
And what did you say?
Give me my stuff.
And what did she say?
She called 911 and I went outside and stood by my car waiting for the police to come.
So you were actually in the bedroom when she called the police?
Yes.
Okay, Miss Bennett. Now, had you in fact taken out any of those items? Pictures, TV, or whatever, any other items?
No.
No. Had you taken out anything from the living area, Miss Bennett? Make sure you tell me the truth, please.
There was, I don't remember, I can't remember what at that time.
Okay, so you can't remember.
No, it's
Then
not,
she came
there
upstairs.
there were things in the house that were mine. There was a TV in there, there was the furniture that was in there, there were pictures that were in there, okay? The TV was mine.
So what did you do with the TV?
Oh wait, I did remove the TV.
So what did you do with the TV?
It went to my daughter's house.
Okay, so the TV went out.
Right.
And some pictures went out.
There was one picture that went out. There was one.
So now you remember. So there, the TV and one picture went out.
And that was the extent of it. That was it.
What did you do with her things that were in the bedroom?
Oh, they were there. Everything was there. Everything. Her clothes were there. She didn't have hardly any jewelry.
So did she knock at the door of the bedroom?
I don't remember if she knocked on the door. She did. She said, let me in. I want to come in. She was drunk. And I've had past experiences where I've been afraid of her. So I kept me and Gina, my daughter, in the room, and we stayed in the bed. And she did say, I want to come in. And I said, no, I was afraid. So my daughter was laying there with me saying, Mommy, don't let her in. I said, okay, I won't let her in. All of a sudden, she goes to bust down the door. She's banging at the door. She comes in. I went to pick up the phone to call 911. She came over to the phone, ripped the phone out of the wall. I got up. I ran down the steps to use the kitchen phone. She ripped that phone out of the wall, backed me up into the dining room, and said to me, where is my stuff? And
what did you say to her?
I don't remember exactly what I had said. She punched me right in the face, square in the face on the left-hand side. I must have hit 911 because the cops did come. My daughter's standing on the steps of the landing, going from upstairs to downstairs. I screamed to her. I said, Gina, go next door, call 911, because I didn't think I hit 911. I said, no, I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave your side. And I said, go next door. But I did hit 911. The cops did come. And she did. She waited outside. She was drunk. Waited outside by her car.
Okay, let me see the police report, please. Thank you, Bert. Did you pull the phones off the wall?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because that's what the officer said. You left that out.
Yes, I did. Because I didn't want her to call 911. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I just wanted my things.
That's not one phone, 2 phones you pulled off the wall. One upstairs in the bedroom, one downstairs.
Correct.
Now, let me hear about this car, because that's the second.
Okay, I had, on May 27th, the police came, like I said, at 1:50, and they would not let me back to my home.
Had you been drinking?
Yes, I was moving some things out of a person's bedroom so I could make room for myself, and we were
So
drinking.
you
while we
had
were-
been drinking?
A couple beers.
Okay.
I had some beers.
Okay. Go ahead.
And so they came to the house at 1:50 in the morning, and they would not let me back at my house that night to get my car. I have a
But you couldn't drive anyway. You had been drinking.
I have a 91 Camaro, and I have an 88 Corvette. The 91 Camaro she drove, and I drove the Corvette. I came back to pick up my cars with some friends of mine at 7:30 in the morning on my way to work, and my Corvette was totally scratched and 5 pounds of sugar in a gas tank.
Did you notify the police that someone had vandalized
I called the Berlin Township Police. That's not where we live, and they said if you didn't see or do it, there's no sense in us writing a report. But I mean, it was fine at 1:50 when I left it. 7:30 in the morning it was totaled.
When had you last driven it?
I drove it right there to the house.
You mean you drove the car after you had been drinking?
Right.
Not smart.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to tell you something. I believe you.
She's making up everything.
Listen to me. I believe you. I do.
I have a...
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patricia Bemisdorfer says ex-girlfriend Linda Bennett had her falsely arrested and put 5 pounds of sugar in the gas tank of her Corvette.
Did you do anything to her car?
I didn't touch that girl's car. And the thing, you know,
There's police at the house.
Just a minute. Go ahead.
The thing is that in the morning she came and she drove that car away. She's saying somebody vandalized that car during that time period. She drove it away. We had a car, we had a 91 Camaro, it was in her name. That was a gift to me. It was in her name, that was a gift to me. She let me use that car. She did take it away that morning. Her and her niece came and did take the car away. They both, her niece drove the Camaro away, she drove the Corvette away. Okay? That's another thing, she drove it away.
When did the car break down?
After I went to lunch, takes sugar a little while to get through the engine of the car. It doesn't break down. It was 7:30 in the morning. I couldn't see the scratches. I went to lunch, and on my way back to work from lunch, it broke down. The car would not run. I had to have AAA tow it to the garage, and they said there was 5 pounds of sugar in it. Not even 2 pounds, 5 pounds. And the white car I let her use after we broke up. I still let her use the Camaro because I felt bad because she has a child. And I get a warrant for my arrest because she has a parking ticket in my name and never even told me about it and never paid it. So I went and took the white car back from her just 2 or 3 months ago. That I still, even after she did this to me, I still let her use my white car because I have the vet. And then I get warrants for my arrest.
The ticket was a parking ticket in Camden. She called me at my job telling me she had a warrant. I immediately went to Camden and paid the ticket. I paid the ticket.
So she did let you keep one of the cars?
Yes, she let me.
Yeah, that's what, it was a gift to me.
It's a gift to you, but it was in her name. You don't make a gift to somebody, keep it in your name. She still let you use the car even after all of this stuff happened.
Oh, yeah. And she, until March 19th, she did come at 6 o'clock in the morning and take the car. Yes, she did.
Can you tell me what happened with the restraining order in the assault case that was filed?
What happened?
Yeah.
I placed a restraining order again. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't. And then I thought about my daughter. She was crying. She was at the police station with me, sitting here right next to me. I don't want her to come back. The cops were saying if she don't put a restraining order, she can come back, do whatever she has to do or wants to do. So I said, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. And then she did stay away from me for a couple of days, and then we started to talk, going back and forth, talking to each other, being civil. And yes, I did drop it because I thought I did. I did drop it.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
If she's so afraid, if I had a 6-year-old child and I knew my child, you're so afraid of me, I would have moved out a long time ago. There was never a complaint. I've never touched her, and I didn't touch her that day. If you're so fearful of me, you should have moved out a long time ago if I'm so mean to you.
Don't talk to her.
I never laid my hands on her.
Let's eliminate from this mix the punch in the face. Okay? Let's eliminate that. You came home at 1:30 in the morning. You had been drinking. You came into your house and you found a television missing and at least one picture missing. And you had been living together as a family for 5 years. Right?
Right.
So you were angry. You went up to the bedroom where all your stuff was. Clothes, jewelry, personal effects, everything else. You can understand her coming in and being a little miffed that the home that you had shared together was, being taken apart without her permission. And she had all of her valuables in the room. That doesn't give you license to bust down the door. And it certainly doesn't give you license to pull the phones out of the walls, because that in itself, even without the punch, is sufficient basis for her to have called the police and say, there is potential violence going on here. So I think that there was a basis for her to call the police. And the fact that you retained an attorney within a relatively short period of time, I see, because she ultimately dropped the charges at the beginning of June.
She dropped the charges at the trial. She dismissed the charges after making us sit in the courthouse for 5 hours because she thought I was paying my lawyer by the hour and wanted me to sit there as long as I could.
Okay. She had a basis for calling the police. It was not done out of malice. It was done out of the heat of the moment, so that I cannot give you money to reimburse you for attorney's fees. You lost your temper. You lost your cool at that moment, and maybe it was the beers talking, but you certainly lost it. And having lost it, she reacted by calling the police, which is probably the wise thing to do. The fact that she ultimately dismissed the charges doesn't mean she didn't have a basis at the time that she made the call to have made the call. Now let's talk about the Corvette. The police told you that they couldn't take the report because you needed more than what you had to legally point the finger at the defendant for damaging your car. While the burden of proof in a criminal case is far greater than in a civil case, you still need some connection. And the only connection that you have is that she was very angry and your car was there during that period of time.
5 hour time.
It's an insufficient nexus for me to find that she in fact did it. That's not saying you didn't do it. I'm just telling you. That's not saying you didn't do it because you were angry.
I have a witness to say that I didn't.
Oh, I'd like to hear that. That would be nice. It would make me feel better. Let me hear your witness.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor, I asked her what a relationship is. She didn't even know this man. She never even knew him. 6 years I lived with her. I never even met this man. That's her boyfriend now. It's a lie.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patricia Benesdorfer says ex-girlfriend Linda Bennett had her falsely arrested and put 5 pounds of sugar in the gas tank of her Corvette.
Who are you?
My name's Jeff. I was a friend of hers.
Were you there that evening?
I was there after.
After
she
what?
Had called me after all this had happened.
Approximately what time?
I guess it was around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And did you go over to her house?
Yes, I did.
What happened when you got there?
She was just crying, upset. I just tried to comfort her, let her know that everything would be okay. And I stayed downstairs. She didn't even leave the upstairs. So I don't know how she would have been able to tamper with the car.
Your Honor, I asked her what a relationship is. She didn't even know this man at the time. That's her boyfriend now. She never even knew him. 6 years I lived with her. I never even met this man. That's her boyfriend now. It's a lie.
Well,
we never knew that gentleman. She didn't call him. She never even heard of his name in his life till after she just met him a couple months ago, and they live in my home together now.
We were friends. I'd known her for about 3-4 months.
Okay. But there was still a period of time where she had an opportunity before you got there, if she wanted to put sugar in this gas tank.
I suppose.
She understands that. As I said, I don't know whether you did it or you didn't do it, but I know that the plaintiff, unfortunately, needs more than just the opportunity and inclination that you had to prove a case in court. Have you had nothing to do with each other in the last year?
No, Your Honor, I do. She still will not give me anything I own. All my personal things, it still will not give me.
But you're not suing for any of those things,
Correct.
so I know that you're very angry, so let's see if we can perhaps resolve this relationship and finally put a period to it. Okay, what else do you have there?
I have gym equipment, about $1,500 worth of gym equipment that I never was able to have.
Okay.
I have
Shh. Do you have her gym equipment?
It's my gym equipment. It's Your Honor, it's mine.
It was a gift.
Just a second. Shh. Who purchased it? Who bought it? Who spent the money for it?
I did.
Did you, in fact, buy it for her?
No.
You bought it for you?
It's mine. I bought it.
Well, that's what you say.
Yes.
You bought it for you?
For myself.
It was my Christmas present from her to me.
I want to tell you something. I believe you.
She's making up everything.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I believe you. I do.
Okay. I have a...
What else does she have there that...
She has boxes of my personal things. I have a sister that died in a car accident with a hairbrush with her hair in it. I can't even have that. My dad's wild's deceased. She won't give me that. I mean, just personal boxes of all kind of stuff. I have a swimming pool there.
What kind of swimming pool?
It's a above ground 12-foot by 36-foot swimming pool.
What are you going to do with it?
Put it in my friend's yard where I live now. It's mine. She's saying she paid half of everything. Make her show you her W-2s.
I'm not... Listen, you're not suing for these things, madam, so what I'm trying to do is make you feel more comfortable, if I can, before you leave. So let me tell you something. I only believe a portion of what you tell me, Miss Bennett.
Okay.
So you would be very, very wise if you want to get on with your life and not have this lady permanently feeling angry that you have not done the right thing. When she, it seems to me, has, at least in part. She let you use a car. You needed it for your daughter to take her to school, even after you had her arrested. She didn't come and take the car until she got a warrant. So she's not a bad person.
Right.
So she wants certain things from the house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, do you have boxes of her things?
There isn't anything there. When she took everything out of the home, when I walked, I had left the home for 3 or 4 hours. When I walked into the home, I was left with a love seat. That's all I had.
The problem was, Your Honor, we were going to try to get back together. I had another place. We were going to work things out, try to get back together. I just needed the living room set to sit on, so I left my other stuff there.
Okay,
It
well,
didn't work.
clearly that didn't happen.
It didn't happen, and after she found out it wasn't going to happen because I met this girl and I moved in with her, she decided she's not giving me anything now.
Put a period. It's over.
And she has everything I ever worked for and ever owned.
Unfortunately, A, your lawsuit sought redress for 2 things. For your lawyer's fees and for damage done to the Corvette, not for all these other things. So I was merely addressing those things in an attempt to make things nice so that you could move on. I see I can't. She had just causes. I indicated to call the police. That part of your lawsuit has to be dismissed, and there is insufficient proof, even though I have my reservations about it, but there is insufficient legal proof that she actually caused damage to your car, so your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. McQueen versus McQueen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. McQueen, this is your son,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is your wife,
Yes, Your Honor.
but you are not his mother.
No, I'm not.
According to your complaint, you received a telephone call from the defendant, from jail,
Yes, ma'am.
and he told you that he was incarcerated and wanted to be bailed out.
Yes, ma'am.
You said, I have to wait till your father gets home.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do when you came home and your wife told you that your son was incarcerated?
We had several checks at the house that we'd received from. I had surgery in July, and they amounted to. There was money we were going to use for our house insurance, and his bail was $1,000. So we discussed it. He has quite a good job, so we weren't too worried about him paying us back. She had talked with him. He told her where to go to bail him out, and we went to the bank and went down to the jail, and we paid it.
Mrs. McQueen, what did the defendant say to you and you say to him during the conversation?
He called and I answered, and he said, "Is Dad there?" I said, "No, he hasn't come home from work." He says, "I'm in trouble." I said, "What's the matter?" He says, "I'm in jail." And I said, "A DWI?" He said, "Yes." And I said, "How much?" He said, $1,000 to get me out.
When was the next time you saw your son?
Well, when I paid the $1,000, the first thing the officer informed me of, if I wanted to get my money back, I would have to initial off, but I would have to seek it through him. Then the officer brought him out, and he came outside to us through the locked doors. And when he got out, he didn't look in very good shape.
Have you bailed him out before?
No,
Has he been arrested before for DWI?
not for DWI, no. He was arrested when he was 7 years old.
No, I'm talking about for DWI. Your wife seemed to question him immediately and said to him, for DWI. What made you think it was a DWI?
Because we had talked maybe a couple of days ago before that, and said, if you ever get a collect call from Jason, it's probably because he's in jail for drinking.
He's had a drinking problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
And when he got out, he wasn't in good shape, and I said, where's your car? And he said they impounded it. And I said, well, how much is it going to be to get out? And I forget the exact amount. It was over $70. I handed him 4 20s, and I asked him, what happened with you? And he said he was playing pool, and the officer had arrested him, and that he had taken the breathalyzer, and he'd blown a 223. When we got his car, he asked me to drive him home because his license was pulled. And so then his car was empty on gas, so I gave him another 20, and I told him that's $1,100 you owe me now.
And what did he say?
He didn't say anything, he just nodded his head. That Friday, he came and spent the night, and he talked with Linda that night and told her that he thought he wouldn't be able to pay it back or wouldn't pay it back. So she told me that the next morning, and I called him and talked to him, and he said, well, Dad, you know, it's your duty. He's 28.
Just a minute. Okay, Mr. McQueen, let's hear it, sir.
What do you want to know, Your Honor? I did get arrested, was in jail. I called my stepmother the previous night, and I told her I was in jail and stuff. I didn't know if she could do anything or whatnot. And
what did you call her to do for you?
I just called her to let her know where I was. She might expect me home or something, wonder where I was, Dad didn't want her wondering.
You didn't tell her how much it would cost to get you out of jail?
Yeah, and I'm in jail. They got me for DWI last night, and they said it was going to be $1,000, and she said, well, your dad gets home in an hour, we'll be there. Yeah, I've been in jail before, Your Honor. It wasn't a very interesting experience.
Well, a very unpleasant experience. You're 28 years old, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I fix computers for Sprint.
How long have you had that job?
About 5 years now.
What's your annual salary?
Believe it's currently at $44,000.
$44,000?
Yes, ma'am.
What other financial obligations do you have, Mr. McQueen?
Car.
What kind of car do you drive?
2000 Civic.
What other financial obligations do you have?
Insurance, phone, the usual things, Your Honor.
Right.
It's completely unrelated to this case, I guess, but I've recently just kind of lost my head. I mean, it's a lot of the reasons that I was in the situation I was when I got here with the police and the drinking and all that. And I recently started trying to pull myself back out. And I've worked it out, you know, with my car company because I'm like 3 months behind on just about everything. And
Mr. McQueen, sounds to me
he knows
as if,
this.
Just a minute, but it sounds to me, sir, if you earn $44,000 a year and you're unmarried and you were living at home?
And paying rent to my mother.
Paying a modest rent. And you don't have any children?
No, ma'am.
So that something else, in addition to alcohol, has been happening in your life recently.
Recently, I just broke up with my girlfriend and on the antidepressants, the whole kit and caboodle.
Okay. Did you stop drinking?
Since then?
Yeah.
I've stopped doing anything where I get in the car afterwards.
Have you stopped drinking?
No, ma'am.
It's probably a mistake.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My lawyer doesn't really seem to think I've got much hope.
Clearly, your son is having a difficult time.
He copped an attitude.
You can't cop an attitude. You're supposed to say thank you.
And later today,
Nowhere did you write gift here.
Well, he said, don't worry about the $800. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then I said, so you're saying that's a gift? And he said, yes.
Are you kidding me or what?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patrick McQueen says his son Jason McQueen owes him for bailing him out of jail and car impound fees.
You sound like a nice young man who's having a bad time. This was your first arrest, sir, since you were 7?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've held the same job for 5 years, which means that he's really not a bum.
No.
Right?
No.
Right. Can you not believe you're standing here?
It was a month ago, Your Honor. It was the 6th. That was the day I got arrested.
Well, what happens, Mr. McQueen, is when you say, there's no way I can pay you back, that makes them angry. Do you understand? I don't know whether I would have, as a parent, Mr. McQueen, pursued this matter as expeditiously as you did, because clearly your son is having a difficult time.
No offense, Your Honor, I've had quite enough police around me. Didn't need any more.
Okay. All right.
You copped an attitude.
You can't cop an attitude. You're supposed to say thank you. You know, thank you, and I can't pay you back right now, but I'll pay you back in increments. You know, I don't want you to be out $1,000 for my stupidity.
My lawyers even got me paying him back like every paycheck.
Well, yeah, there's nothing much you can do, sir, on a 2 reading. Has that case come to court yet?
No, ma'am. It's a 2-3.
Shh. Did you tell your attorney in the criminal matter that you planned on appearing in civil court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your attorney suggest to you that that was not a good idea?
No, ma'am.
Get another attorney.
Can I inquire as to why?
Because had I known that there was a criminal action still pending for driving while intoxicated against you, I would not have asked you questions surrounding that incident, including the fact that you do in fact have an alcohol problem. That does not enhance your position in the criminal case, sir.
No offense, Your Honor, but my lawyer doesn't really seem to think I've got much hope other than throwing myself on
the court's mercy.
The court's mercy.
Well, that's fine. Then I don't know what you need a lawyer for, sir. If you're going to plead guilty, what are you paying the lawyer for? Then the lawyer's doing nothing for you. Your father at least bailed you out of jail, right?
I guess you're right.
You could have stayed in jail.
The cost of a 5-year job, Your Honor.
Absolutely. So it was a good thing that your dad helped you out. And the fact that you're having financial trouble on $44,000 a year income and not any major responsibilities suggests to me that you either have a gambling problem, or you have a gambling and a drug problem, or you have some other place where that money is going, because it sure is not going to pay your car, which you say you're behind 3 months on, or your insurance. So there's something else going on with your life. He wants his money back. You think it's right that he gets it back?
I think if it was my kid, I'd like to do everything I could. And if he wasn't, like, able to pay me back, then he wasn't able to pay me back.
But you are able, sir. You're just prioritizing. You're just prioritizing.
He's heard my accounts. He knows they're like toast.
That's because your money is going someplace else.
Back and forth to work, paying a car payment every paycheck. I'm, like, really behind, Your Honor.
You may be really behind, sir, but there are families of 4 and 5 that live on $44,000 a year and are not paying a couple of bucks rent to their mama. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000, that's all.
Oh, ma'am, there was the
I understand, sir. You want the impound fee and the $20 for gas. You're very lucky you're getting the $1,000. I'm going to tell you why you're getting this judgment, because I'm going to find that by nodding to you in acceptance when you gave him the money, there was a tacit agreement that he would pay you back. But at the time you paid this money, Mr. McQueen, you did not have an agreement with him that this was a loan. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm finding that based upon his acquiescence to the loan subsequently, even though he wasn't in such good shape, that you are entitled to your money back.
Thank you.
Don't push me. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Time he's got some responsibility and has got a handle on his life.
I'm working on it. I have been working on it. He knows I've been working on it. It's just, it doesn't come instantly. Yeah, there you go. You're going to get a kiss on each cheek, too.
And now the next case.
All parties are on Martinez versus Ortiz. Step forward.
32-year-old store manager Jimmy Martinez is suing his ex-fiancée, 25-year-old hotel assistant GM Veronica Ortiz, for a deposit on a car. Veronica is countersuing for furniture and an apartment deposit.
All right, in this case, the chronology is very important. Mr. Martinez, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for about 3 years?
4 years, ma'am.
And that living together arrangement ended when, sir?
Approximately mid-November, last year, 99.
And according to your complaint, that was a rather amicable split. You remained friends.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Sometime the following month, the defendant contacted you because she wanted to purchase a car. And you agreed to go with her to the dealership. And you went to the dealership, and she didn't have enough money for the down payment. What I can piece together is the car salesman said to you, well, give me a check to hold the car.
Yes, ma'am.
A check for $800.
Yes.
And the agreement was that the salesman would not cash this check, but would wait for you to come up with the remainder of the balance. Now, according to you, Mr. Martinez, what happened was you started getting your bank statements months later, and you had checks bouncing all over the place because this check got cashed.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want your $800.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have an interesting defense and counterclaim.
Correct.
Now I'll hear you.
Well, the $800 was initially not supposed to be cashed, and I understand that. But for some reason it did, and I agreed to him that I'm sorry that that happened. Then at that time, he decided that, he said, don't worry about the $800 due to the fact that we, just don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And then I said, so you're saying that's a gift? And he said, yes.
Are you kidding me or what?
No, no, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His intention, Your Honor, was to get me to move back with him.
That's the truth, Your Honor.
Madam, I don't think you'd know the truth if it came up and bit you in the nose.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jimmy Martinez says ex-fiancée Veronica Ortiz owes him for a deposit on a car. Veronica says Jimmy is the one who owes.
So now you're telling me under oath that he told you forget about the $800. It was a gift.
Correct.
So let me read to you what you wrote in your answer. He has a lot of nerve taking me to court. You say we were engaged, making wedding plans. Who cares about that? Finally, in September of 1999, I had enough of his mental and physical abuse. He kicked me out, but wouldn't let me move all of my stuff out. So first today, you tell me that this was an amicable break, right? And that everything was nice. And a month afterwards, after you broke up, you asked him to go with you. He put down a check for $800. Now you say, at least in here, that he kicked you out of the house and he still had my furniture and a refrigerator that he wouldn't return.
Correct.
Our lease was up in February and he was supposed to give me back my share of the deposit. He didn't do it. Since he refused to return my furniture and security deposit from an apartment that he kicked me out of, I let the dealership cash his check. Nowhere in here do you say anything about gift. He told you to forget about it. I mean, I know you're smiling at me.
Judge.
And you have a counterclaim. I am counterclaiming. After kicking me out of the apartment, he never returned my furniture and refrigerator, which were worth $1,600, that he refuses to give me.
He has all my furniture, Your Honor, and unfortunately, this $800 was a gift. When I did that, I didn't remember what happened. And then when I went through all my paperwork, I realized what had happened. And I saw that it was a gift. And all the items that he still owes me as well, I have receipts for. I have several pieces of furniture and also...
I don't care about your furniture, madam. You told me this was a gift.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Nowhere did you write gift here.
It's because I didn't go through my paperwork, Your
What do you
Honor.
have to go through your paperwork for?
Because I didn't realize...
Where in your paperwork does it show you gift? Show me where in the paperwork it says gift. That your
No,
recollection
no,
was
Your
refreshed
Honor.
after you went through your paperwork. Show me where it says
No,
gift.
Your Honor, I don't have anything that states that it was a gift.
Well, just a second. So that when you went through your paperwork, what refreshed your recollection that led you to believe that now it was a gift?
Because the conversation that we had, he sent me a letter in regards to the $800.
Well, then let me see it.
Okay. Judge, I highlighted the pieces that I remember.
Shh. All right, let me read this. What refreshed her recollection that this was a gift. This is a letter written by you, sir, to her on the 31st of July of this year.
Yes, ma'am.
You write to her, I immediately called you to make arrangements for repayment when you found out that they had cashed the check. You said you couldn't pay me at that time and asked me if I would take several pieces of furniture in lieu of the money. I declined that offer because what I had loaned you was $800 in cash, and that's what I expected back in return. That's what you underlined, by the way. That's what you highlighted. Then you, in this letter you write to her, upon returning home from your job, you called me back. That means she called you back and said that you had discussed the matter with your sister.
But that didn't happen,
And
Your
she had advised you against repaying me because all we had was a verbal agreement and the $800 could be construed as a gift.
That never happened, Your Honor. That never happened, Your Honor. Unfortunately, the $800 was a gift.
No, baloney. $800 you owe him. There's no gift. He has no reason to make you a gift after he breaks up with you or you break up with him.
Well, his intention, Your Honor, was to get me to move back with him. And after he found out that I wasn't willing to move back with him, then that's when he said it was a loan. That's the truth, Your Honor.
Madam, I don't think you'd know the truth if they came up and bit you in the nose.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Now let's get to your counterclaim. You broke up with him a year ago. And you say you left furniture in the apartment after you broke up. And you could have taken all your stuff with you when you left, because you just told me, despite the fact that you wrote here, that it was an amicable breakup.
But I still had furniture there, Your
Just
Honor.
you should have taken it with you if you felt as if it was your furniture.
Your Honor, he wouldn't let me take my furniture.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No, if we were friends,
no,
but
just
he
a
still
second.
didn't let me take my furniture.
Just a second. If somebody doesn't let you take your stuff, it's not an amicable breakup. And you don't call them and ask them to go with you for a car and ask them to put out a check for you if He kicked you out of your house and wouldn't let you take your property. And then he doesn't find out that they cashed his check for months. Now you've had November, December, January, February, March, April, May. You've had 7 months to file a lawsuit against him for your furniture.
Your Honor, I don't want to have anything to do with this gentleman. He is very abusive, and he is a total jerk. And you're
Then why did you, just a second.
Because
then if you wanted nothing to do with him, why did you call him to go to the car dealership
Because
with you?
I was in denial, and I didn't realize that.
Oh, well, get real.
Your
Just for
Honor,
the plaintiff and the amount of $800. You count the plaintiff dismissed.
Parties are